we can actually see there are two major challenges. On one hand, we're actually facing this economic challenge. We definitely have constantly increasing energy prices, which are making it difficult for the corporate sector. At the same time, we also have these economic challenges resulting from the inflation as well as the monetary issues as well. On the second hand, we have this climate crisis. Although Pakistan, again, might not be one of the very high polluters, but it is actually at the forefront of these climate vulnerabilities. And then again, if I talk from the perspective of the corporate sector, then there's constantly an increasing pressure on the greening of the supply chains as well. So perhaps we need to come up with something that can actually, a solution that can actually address both of the points. And this is where different alternate financing mechanisms, carbon markets being one of the key players, come into play and play its important role as well.
The success of
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Sustainable Development Policy Institute and the Embassy of Denmark in Islamabad, I welcome you all to today's post-COP dialogue on operationalization of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, the road from Baku to Belém. This dialogue roundtable following up has been organized in the joint collaboration of SDPI and the Embassy of Denmark. That is aimed at unlocking the potential of carbon markets in Pakistan. I believe we'll be going into the details of what the project entails, but we're really delighted to have with us the diplomatic partners. Definitely thank you to your continued support of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination. The colleagues from the Embassy of Azerbaijan, Her Excellencies, and distinguished experts from the private sector, from the civil society, academia. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we apologize for a bit of a delay. But I believe with this, let me invite Mr. Shafkat Kakakhi, the chairperson of Board of Governors of Sustainable Development Policy Institute, for his welcome remarks. So over to you. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. His Excellency the Ambassador of Denmark, representatives of the Embassy of Azerbaijan, high officials of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination, and ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to welcome you all at this seminar. At the outset, I would like to commend the Sustainable Development Policy Institute, SDPI, and the Embassy of Denmark in Pakistan for organizing or co-organizing this seminar on the operationalization of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, the road from Baku to Belém. The historic Paris Agreement on climate change, adopted in 2015, had noted that and recognized that some parties to the United Nations Climate Change Convention choose to pursue voluntary cooperation in the implementation of their nationally determined contributions to allow for higher ambition in their mitigation and adaptation actions, and to promote sustainable development and environmental integrity. However, the Paris Agreement, which was a kind of framework agreement, did not prescribe the detailed measures for addressing all aspects of carbon trading, which had been introduced as Clean Development Mechanism, CDM, by the Kyoto Protocol adopted in 1997. I had the honor of serving as the elected representative for Asia Pacific countries for 2 terms, from 2009 till 2012. So the task of working out the details of how uh, the clean development mechanism will be reworked under the Paris Agreement was left to the annual sessions of the conferences of parties. They had to grapple with articulating intergovernmental consensus on the operationalization of Article 6. The intergovernmental discourse on carbon trading culminated in November this year by the adoption of a decision at COP29 held in Baku, Azerbaijan in November. Indeed, the decision on carbon trading is one of the key notable achievements of the Baku summit. The COP29 decision contains the building blocks for the operation of carbon markets and making country-to-country trading and making a carbon crediting mechanism fully operational. The decision prescribed the agreed standards for a centralized carbon market under the United Nations. So the UN continues to have a role, but a greatly modified role in the carbon trading system. The COP decision clarifies how countries will authorize the trading of carbon credits and how registries tracking this will operate. Further, the decision includes the reassurance, and that is an extremely important point, that environmental integrity will be ensured upfront through transparent technical reviews. The Baku decision is indeed a major advance on the operationalization of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. However, the operationalization of the environmental and economic benefits of carbon trading will require the concerted efforts by the partner countries, the countries that offer credits and the countries that buy credits. And this morning, incidentally, the business supplement of Dawn carries an article which mentions the challenges of carbon trading under the new system. And I think stakeholders will need to address those challenges in order to make progress ahead. Happy coincidence. The Baku summit not only adopted a resolution, a decision on the operationalization of Article 6, the government of Pakistan also launched its much-awaited policy on carbon trading at an event at the Pakistan Pavilion in Baku during COP29, and this was on the 16th of November last year. This policy had been discussed in detail by stakeholders. It stipulates a set of guidelines which prioritize robust environmental standards and transparency to ensure that all mitigation projects comply with the highest standards. The objective of the guidelines is to accelerate green development deployment and attract investment in sectors and projects with significant emissions potential. These they include energy, agriculture, waste management, and forestry. These are among the sectors that have greater potential of carbon trading. I have a number of ideas of my own on this subject, but this is not the time. The three pillars of Pakistan's carbon market policy are: number one, environmental integrity and compliance; number two, economic development and investment mobilization; and equitable benefit sharing and social safeguards. These are issues that were highlighted by non-governmental organizations, by civil society organizations that were closely following the developments pertaining to carbon trading. As the note prepared by SDPI for this dialogue expresses the hope that the guidelines issued by the government of Pakistan would help in aligning domestic initiatives with international frameworks. SDPI also hopes that the emphasis on high-quality credits at the Baku summit aligns well with the government's Pakistan's potential, to scale up nature-based solutions such as afforestation and mangrove restoration. In fact, there has already been progress in those areas. This seminar, ladies and gentlemen, is aimed at analyzing all aspects of the Baku decision with reference to the government of Pakistan's policy on carbon markets and its implementation in Pakistan. This seminar, I hope, will facilitate discussion on the significance of carbon market as an alternate financial mechanism for the achievement of Pakistan's nationally determined contributions, or NDCs. You will also probe the global developments around carbon markets and lessons to be learned. I hope that the cooperation between Pakistan and Denmark, as well as collaboration between the Danish Embassy and SDPI, will continue to grow in the future. I wish you all, particularly those who will participate in the discussions, fruitful deliberations, and I thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ambassador Shafkat Kaka Khail Sahab. And let me take this opportunity to welcome Madam Romina Khurshid Alam, the Coordinator to Prime Minister on Climate Change and Environmental Coordination, for joining us. So I believe, again, the discussion definitely, just like Ambassador Sahab highlighted, is extremely significant given that Article 6 was operationalized at COP29. I believe it opens a lot of opportunities and a window of opportunity for the private sector to sort of start playing their role as well. So I believe when we actually talk about that, definitely Denmark in itself has been one of the front runners. In fact, and again, not just in their own country, but they're also supporting Pakistan in realizing this potential of carbon markets as well. But before going into details on how this is actually going to go, let me invite His Excellency, Ambassador Jakob Linnell, the Ambassador of Denmark to Pakistan, for his keynote address. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Please.
Good to see you all, and Happy New Year to all of you. I hope it will be a good and a happy 2025, and I hope it will be a year bringing success and achievements in Pakistan's fight against climate change. And when I saw the participation list of today's event, I said, wow, I mean, it's a strong group of people we are gathered this morning, and I guess you all know that you are very important in Pakistan's endeavors to be more green and be more sustainable, and to fight the climate change. So thank you for all being here and being part of this very important endeavor. SDPI, always a pleasure, and it's very good, and it's great to see you in top shape, ready for this important year. SDPI is a backbone in allowing Pakistan to attract foreign investment, foreign financing in fighting climate change, and also to enter the carbon markets. And personally, I'm very proud that Denmark works so closely with you, and also will do so in 2025. That partnership we cemented just a month ago, where we had a big celebration at my residence to celebrate 75 years anniversary of Denmark's and Pakistan's diplomatic relations. So we have grown into close partners, Denmark and SDPI, and I was very proud also that you, Ambassador and Chairman of SDPI, were there to celebrate that together with us in November. But no matter how hard Denmark and SDPI we try to fight climate change, we will only succeed if the government of Pakistan continuously secures a conducive environment for climate action. Minister of Climate Change, Madam Romina, very good to see you. Always a pleasure. You play a vital role for Pakistan's fight against climate change, and you have just completed a vital step in that respect. You have just launched a new policy guideline for trade in carbon markets. And it fits very well with Denmark and Pakistan's bilateral relationship, our green engagement to work together on climate change. That means that we align our positions in international climate negotiations, and we support each other's efforts in making our societies more sustainable. At the COP29 in Baku, the Danish Prime Minister met with Pakistan's Prime Minister. Also, the Foreign Minister was there, and obviously, Madam Romina was also there. And we again committed ourselves to work closely together in the years to come. The framework that we work under is guided by the COPs, the annual negotiations on climate change in the framework under the umbrella of the United Nations. The last one was obviously in Baku, in Azerbaijan, in November. And the obvious question is to ask ourselves now, was this COP29 a success? Did it bring us forward in fighting climate change? Well, first of all, certainly Azerbaijan secured a solid platform as host. So thank you so much also I can convey that to the Deputy Ambassador here today, that your host and the way that you secured a good platform there was a big success, and congratulations with that. As representative of Denmark, it's quite sometimes easy to be a little bit disappointed because we have very high ambitions. So when it comes to commitments to reduce emission reductions or reduce emissions, then it's easy to be a little bit disappointed. But the truth is that progress was definitely made in Baku, especially on two aspects. One is on the climate financing, and the other one is related to that on carbon markets, meaning the trade with emission reductions. And both these achievements are good news for Pakistan. It means that international funding can be made available for climate mitigation and adaptation in Pakistan. It means that Pakistan can now implement green projects with financing from selling the emission reductions in the international carbon markets. So good news on two fronts, but on the other hand, it's not a money tree. The decisive factor whether Pakistan will succeed in fighting climate change will always depend on the internal and domestic actions taken in Pakistan. Green transformation of your beautiful country depends on the commitment of all Pakistanis. Sometimes you get the impression when you read newspapers or see TV transmissions, reports, and so on, that fighting climate change is something that happens elsewhere. It's something that happens at the COPs, or it happens in UN in New York or whatever. But fighting climate change is not something that someone else is going to fix for you. Climate change is about understanding that actions will always start with yourself. And that goes for private persons. Take action. Each one of us need to take action. We need to stop throwing our waste and garbage on the streets. We need to take public or shared transportation instead of taking our own cars. We need to plant a tree whenever we have the chance to do so. And we need to state our requirements and demands to the companies, to the products we buy and consume, and to the politicians. And for the companies obviously need to change their fuels. They need to stop using oil and gas and coal and turn their energy source into renewables, wind, solar, biomass, water. They need to start insulating their buildings so they become more energy efficient. They need to energy optimize the production. And it's actually not only for the climate, it's also for the business. It has become very good business to be more energy efficient with these enormously expensive energy costs that you have in Pakistan these days. And for the government of Pakistan, it's about long-term commitment. It's about securing a long-term stable environment for attractive investments into sustainable solutions. If that is the case, foreign direct investments, FDI, will definitely come to Pakistan. I know so many international institution investors who are just waiting to invest in Pakistan. And by that, you will also see the benefits from the carbon markets flowing in. So Pakistan is right now facing the choice: continue dependence on imported, very expensive and very dirty oil, gas, and coal, or shift its energy sector into domestically available sources, wind, solar, biomass, and water. And you have it all, Pakistan. So why not do it? To me, the decision is pretty obvious, but it's not easy. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of investment. It takes a lot of, commitment for many, many years. I hope you'll be brave to do so for the future generations, not only of Pakistan, but for the world. And today's seminar is definitely a good start. And it's a wonderful start for 2025. I'm so happy to be here. And once again, thank you all for joining in. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. SCPI is extremely pleased to have this partnership with the Embassy of Denmark, and that's really adding a lot to the capacity. I mean, in the last year, we actually built the capacity of over 950 professionals around the carbon markets, and this year we're again going to extend the same support, especially going this time to the actual development of projects and collaborating with different partners, particularly the SMEs as well as the new startups as well, and how they can actually explore this opportunity. And let me also mention, we're very pleased to have with us some of the projects that are actually doing this. We have the colleagues from RTC project with us as well. So now moving towards more of the technical discussion on what actually means by when we talk about the operationalization of Article 6 and how that relates to the context of Pakistan as well, and how should the private sector go about it. So we'll be going towards the continuing with the plenary session. So let me take this opportunity and invite Dr. Abid Qayyum Sureri, the Executive Director of Sustainable Development Policy Institute, for his interventions. Thank you.
Thank you, Obed. Honorable Ma'am Rumina Khurshid, Ambassador of Denmark to Pakistan, Deputy Ambassador of Azerbaijan to Pakistan, distinguished panelists, Zulfikar Saab, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Climate Change, representatives of private sector, of academia, of provincial governments, NASTAP, RUDA. It's a great pleasure to welcome you here in Islamabad for discussing carbon markets, how to operationalize it, what are its implications, and what are the potentials for Pakistan. But first of all, let me thanks Jacob Lenov and Embassy of Denmark for cooperating and supporting STPI throughout 2024, raising awareness around carbon markets and operationalizing it further. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as of today, it's 10 years when we started discussing, the world started discussing carbon markets in Paris Agreement back in 2050. And the reason it took so long to agree on some of its rule sets, to agree on modalities, were a few points that I would like to discuss here, and then perhaps we can see how Pakistan can play its role and what is in it for private sector. The first and foremost thing that kept this negotiation for so long, it was about the methodology of calculating carbon credits, the definitional aspects, the methodology, the standards, and of course, coming up to an agreement about it, it took so long. The second was transparency. By transparency, it means that the country who would be selling carbon credit and the country who would be buying carbon credit, there can be possibilities where it can be double counting. And if you look at Article 6 of Paris Agreement, the caution to avoid double counting is mentioned for 7 times in Article 6 in Paris Agreement. So that is very much there. The third was how to go about some of the legacy credits of Clean Development Mechanism, CDM, and Ambassador Shafkat Kakakhail in his inaugural address, he mentioned about them. So how to treat those carbon credits under CDM. The fourth one was about a levy for adaptation. So all the credits, there was some provision that whether some percentage of carbon price, it should go to adaptation fund, and if it should go to adaptation fund, what sort of carbon credits should be subject to it. And then about having some sort of registry of carbon credits. We are glad that in Baku, one of the concrete achievements that one can be proud of is operationalization of these three very important clauses under Article 6. I'm referring to 6.2, 6.4, and 6.8. Now, 6.2 is a cooperative mechanism, which means the bilateral or multilateral synchronization of emission trading systems like EU's trading system vis-a-vis Switzerland's carbon accounting. 6.4 is all about Paris Agreement, PACMs, Paris Agreement mechanisms of internationally transferred mitigation outcomes transfer. And 6.8 is non-market mechanism. Now, what has actually happened now? We have some definitions, we have some standards for 6.2, and this would be operational. It was already operational in Glasgow in COP 26, but now with some definitions and some methods for calculation of carbon credits, its actual materialization would be quite realistic now. The second one is about transparency. It has become necessary for the host country, for Pakistan, for example. If we have to sell some carbon credits, we will also have to do some corresponding adjustment, which means that in our NDCs, we will have to highlight that these credits would be sold and they will not be part of our NDCs. And the buying country would also have to have it in its registry. There is a provision for certain credits which are not being sold. We can put them under International Carbon Credit Registry, and those can be sold later on, although the time and the duration and validity of such credits, that will be determined later. And on non-market mechanism, which mean capacity building and technology transfer, again, there is some tangible improvement and tangible progress. Now, in order to make the best use of it, there are certain recommendations that STPI team has prepared. We are suggesting that Ministry of Climate Change and Climate Change Authority, newly established Climate Change Authority, it should have a position in National Climate Change Authority to oversee the implementation of internationally transferred mitigation outcomes. We have some sort of oversight body, not only to oversee these ITMOs, but also to take care of the registry that we will be exchanging with Article 6.2, Article 6.4, and 6.8. So the first step is to have our own registry, and then perhaps we can exchange it with the three articles. We also need to look at some of the carbon credits beyond forestation and deforestation. For example, in Rwanda, in Burkina Faso, they are selling carbon credits with the clean energy, clean cooking project. So if you have clean cooking, that can be sold as carbon credits. Similarly, in case of other countries, there is this carbon credit for removing the fossil fuel subsidies. In Uzbekistan, removal of fossil fuel subsidies and greening the power sector, that actually contributes towards carbon credit. Likewise, there is a window with the World Bank, which is providing carbon initiative for development funds for the capacity building. Danish government is working on it, and there are other bilateral initiatives. So when we're talking of carbon credits, we need to actually think beyond forestation, our natural carbon credits, and also on some policy areas whereby by adopting to green policies, we can claim carbon credits. But an important prerequisite for it will be some sort of carbon certification and accreditation bodies in Pakistan. Right now, VERA, Gold Standard, and some others, all of them, they are international certification bodies. So we need to have an independent body that is present in Pakistan, that is charging its fee in rupees, not in dollars or euros, and that is providing local solution linked to some international certifiers. For the private sector, and I'm glad that OICCI and FPCCI, Pakistan Business Council representatives, they are also here. It's an opportunity to get prepared for the new trade regime like CBAM and the other carbon border taxes, which will be applicable in beyond EU, in UK, in United States, in China, and in many other territories. So they need to understand not only the nitty-gritty of carbon markets, but also how to start a project, how to get registered in the registry, how to negotiate the carbon prices. And for all of them, this to happen, a very strong coordination between government of Pakistan and private sector needs to take place. STPI, being a catalyst, we will keep on playing our role for this transition, playing a role for not only matchmaking, but also providing support, technical support, and capacity building, both to private sector as well as to government agencies where it's required. And I'm again thankful to development partners like the Danish Embassy for enabling us to play us this role. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and wishing you very knowledgeful discussion today.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Habib, for very concisely highlighting what has happened and what have been some of the challenges that we have been facing that for all the delay that happened in the operationalization of Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. And again, along with this very important development that just happened recently was Pakistan's guidelines for trading in the carbon market. So I believe it's best to hear from the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination. We're very pleased to have with us Mr. Zulfikar Yunus, the Additional Secretary, Climate Finance at the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination. So thank you so much, sir, for joining us. If I can request you to come on the podium and brief us on what have been some of the very key developments that have happened. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent, Honorable Madam Rumina Khurshid, Coordinator to Prime Minister on Climate Change and Environmental Coordination, Excellency Jakob Lenov, Ambassador of Denmark in Pakistan, Excellency Mr. Tamer, Deputy Head of Mission of Azerbaijan Embassy in Pakistan, Shafkat Kakakhel Sahab, Abid Sulehri Sahab, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, and a very good morning to all of you. Let me begin by thanking the host, SDPI, and the Danish Embassy for organizing this very important conference. In fact, the communication strategy that we have also finalized for carbon markets speaks of, spreading the word among provinces, among even local communities, to make sure that the carbon market operationalization that we are now in the process of goes to even local community level. Because now they say that those who own a tree own the credit. So even we have to go down to the very, base level to communicate what the policy stands for, how our communities can benefit. So this seminar, in fact, is one step in the same direction. Abid Sulehri Sahab, Kakakhel Sahab, and even Ambassador Lenov has very elaborately explained various facets of what happened in Baku and now where we stand in terms of a carbon market policy, but let me just highlight few things which may interest to this audience. Number one is, as it was mentioned that, uh, it was technical guidance under Article 6.2 and operationalization of 6.4 mechanism has been finalized at Baku, which are very important steps, has been lingering for so many years now. So which means that now the potential for unlocking the investments in the carbon markets are available for the world, and it's those countries who are ready with the infrastructure to operationalize the market, to leverage the carbon finance which will be coming, will get the lion's share. So Pakistan is mindful of the fact that we have to be ready for this upcoming challenge. Secondly, the non-market approaches, which is Article 6.8, has also been, the establishment of the framework to mobilize technology transfer, capacity building, and financial support for climate action beyond the market has also been agreed. And again, it's on our, NGOs, government, and subnational governments and development partners. Together, we have to leverage this very important opportunity that is coming to us. So, as you know now, these decisions are shared also commitment with the global community. And the challenges that are ahead of us to operationalize this carbon markets is the most important for Pakistan is the readiness. So as you have heard in the news that we have already notified our carbon policy. Now we are in the process of finalizing the final details of the regulation and the whole framework, which will be implemented once the carbon credits are being registered with our registry, and also they are being offered to global investors. For that, we have also customized our registry. So we are not going with the UNFCCC registry because that then takes the control to global level, and we may face few difficulties. So we decided that we should have our own carbon registry, and we have already in the process of customizing it, then in the testing phase. So hopefully by the early February, our registry will be fully operational, and then with that, we have also set up a carbon market section in our ministry. We have got trained human resource. They have been trained from Japanese Asian Development Bank Institute in Tokyo, and our partners Spark 6 and World Bank, they have also helped us building capacity of this unit. So we hope that with this unit in place, this section in place, we will be able to process the climate carbon related applications very quickly. At the same time, the main challenge that we are facing in Pakistan is the lack of good concrete with integrity projects, carbon projects. So our main focus now is on how to communicate to our local community, to provinces, to all the private sector and to stakeholders to come up with the carbon projects. So we have taken up the UNFCCC guidelines, and we would like to maybe in the coming months to hold more similar seminars to guide our carbon people to come up with good bankable projects where we can invite investors. And the biggest challenge would be from private sector. We have to help our private sector, facilitate our private sector to make a giant leap towards the carbon credit investment programs. Let me also share that at Beacon House National University, with the assistance from JS Bank, they have already established a climate finance chair. And recently they have launched two very important policy papers. One was on green bond and the other was on catastrophe bond. And we are talking to them. Maybe we also do some research on carbon markets. And there is an idea that we have also spoken to LUMS and NUST. Maybe they have in their MBA, because carbon market would be going to be there and would expand with the passage of time. As we say that, the climate challenges would be there for the next many decades and they will expand. So similarly, carbon markets will also be there. So we are talking to them to introduce in their MBAs some modules related to carbon financing, carbon markets, because that is a skill which Pakistani young entrepreneurs should also learn. Secondly, we also, during the COP29, we were very lucky to have a lot of interactive meetings with some of the potential investors from different countries for Article 6.2 G2G investments. And we are very, happy and satisfied to see that a lot of these countries, including Singapore, South Korea, Sweden, Norway, Norway's Norfront CEO also met with us, and they are also very keen to invest in global carbon market. And they say that if Pakistan is ready, we would be also very much interested to invest in Pakistan's carbon. So we have a huge scope there. The only thing is that we should be ready. And repeatedly during these meetings on the sidelines of the COP29, one message we got from all these potential investors in carbon markets was that we have met with so many other countries also, developing countries, who have their market, but they're not ready yet. They don't have that, the infrastructure, the knowledge, and the wherewithal to make fully use of the existing opportunities for the carbon market. So, but from our side, when we spoke to them, they were very satisfied with the way we explained them the things that where we are and how we want to the way forward that we explained to them. So all in all, I see a lot of hope. And we have also, for our climate finance strategy that we have finalized, we have also had some targets for carbon markets also to bring into Pakistan, investments to bring into Pakistan. And we are hoping that with the banks, you might be knowing also that we are in the process of finalizing our green taxonomy. So as soon as our taxonomy is ready, the banks and the private sector investments would be the logical next step for carbon markets in Pakistan. And also, let me also share that in the last budget, Pakistan, we also documented our Pakistan's own green investments, and it stands from around $1.68 billion in the last budget. So Pakistan itself is very climate responsible country, investing its resources in the right direction and doing that. So all in all, what I feel, I have a lot of hopes. I must thank also my development partners who have helped us to prepare for the upcoming challenge of the upcoming carbon markets. And I hope that with the continued support from our investors, our development partners, and also with the support from our provinces, because they have the very important role to play, I think we can leverage the opportunity to its maximum. So with these words, I would like to once again thank the organizers, Abid Sulari Saab, his team, and Danish Embassy, and also Azerbaijani Embassy for being here, and for all of you to be here. And let's join hands to make that Pakistan's dream to become climate responsible country, to leverage the available climate finance, especially carbon finance, becomes a reality. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting what the government is, direction the government is thinking. And definitely, I believe one really key highlight would be the readiness of the stakeholder. That's actually going to be the most critical point in going forward. So just in interest of time, let me take this opportunity to invite the chief guest we have today, Madam Brumina Khurshid Alam, the coordinator to Prime Minister on Climate Change and Environmental Coordination for her chief guest remarks. Ma'am, if you can please join us at the podium. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My respected Mr. Shafkat Kaka Khil Sahab, His Excellency Ambassador of Denmark, Deputy High Commission from Azerbaijan, Dr. Abid Qayyum Suleri, of course, from my team, Mr. Zulfikar Yunus Sahab, and all the worthy people from the academia, from the private sector, development partners, and people from the provinces and from the government sector. Assalamu alaikum once again. As I think it's the topic and the things are being already discussed in a very great detail, and I'm really thankful to Mr. Yunus, who has, Mr. Zulfikar Yunus, who has made my job little easier, and he briefed everything in a very detail. But just to getting back from the government perspective, and the things which we have tried our level best to being done at Azerbaijan, and of course, I really want to take this opportunity and want to congratulate once again to the Azerbaijan that the way they hosted, that was really amazing. And I think it's a great, really, it was a very properly organized. And of course, and when it comes to Pakistan, the way Pakistan tried our level best, of course, it was not only a single person effort. It was a proper teamwork. And today, I really want to congratulate to all Pakistanis that whatever we got the success, internationally being recognized in every forums we've been discussed. Pakistan was being highly recognized in different forums, and the negotiation teams were being highly acknowledged. That whole success goes to Pakistan and to belong to all Pakistanis. Getting back to the subject, when we talk about the carbon policies and which everybody is discussing about the Article 6, of course, as coordinator to the Prime Minister on Climate Change and Environmental Coordination, I'm pleased to reframe that we are actively operationalizing Article 6 to harness its transformative potential for our nation and the global community. The outcomes of COP29 in Baku, particularly the historic approval of carbon guidelines, constitute a significant milestone in our collective pursuit of effective climate action. Article 6 represents an unprecedented opportunity to develop and strengthen global carbon markets, which are for achieving our low carbon growth, aspiration and adaptation objectives. In the context of Pakistan's development trajectory, these mechanisms transcend technical solutions. They stand as strategic tools and that will underpin our sustainable development and enhance our climate resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, approving carbon guidelines marks a watershed moment in international climate cooperation. Pakistan stands ready to adopt and implement these guidelines with the highest standards of integrity, transparency, and ambition. We are aligning our institutional frameworks with these evolving global standards with the twin goals of attracting climate-friendly investment and maintaining the environmental integrity of our carbon market. These proactive alignment will build international confidence in Pakistan's capacity to contribute meaningfully to global emission reductions. Pakistan is uniquely positioned to leverage carbon markets for transformative large-scale change areas such as renewable energy, expansion, afforestation, and sustainable urban development offers immense potential for carbon abatement and green growth. We also recognize that no nation can move forward in isolation. Hence, regional collaborations across South Asia in carbon trading, shared climate finance mechanisms, and capacity building remains a critical component of our collective progress towards a more resilient future. While the path ahead is indeed promising, I acknowledge that the challenges persist, among them capacity gaps and the necessity for robust regulatory frameworks. In response, the government of Pakistan is undertaking targeted initiatives to strengthen our institutional and technical capabilities. We are forming strategic partnerships with multilateral agencies and private stakeholders to develop the expertise and infrastructure required for success. Central to these efforts of establishment of a rigorous monitoring, reporting and verifications MRV systems, ensuring that our actions carry credibility and can be validated both domestically and internationally. Pakistan has constantly served as a constructive and a forward-looking voice in global climate negotiations. Building on this legacy, we will continue to advocate for framework under Article 6 that are inclusive and equitable. Particularly for developing countries, we remain fully committed to promoting South-South cooperation and fostering capacity building initiatives so that no nation is left behind in the global transition towards carbon neutrality. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge developed nations to fulfill their pledges considering financial and technical support. A prerequisite to the successful deployment of Article 6 mechanism in countries like ours, capacity building efforts remains paramount, and I call upon the international community to extend robust support so that Pakistan and the other developing nations can fully leverage the benefits of these new carbon markets avenues. We welcome engagement from all stakeholders, including government, international organizations, development partners, private sectors, to shape Article 6, operationalization, inclusivity, and effectively. Pakistan stands on the cusp of leading the region in carbon trading innovations and low carbon development, using Article 6 as a powerful catalyst to steer our economy and society onto a more sustainable path. The journey ahead demands a shared commitment and cooperative spirit from all. I invite each of you to join hands and friends to join Pakistan in forging a future that harmonizes development priorities with our moral responsibility to protect our planet, because together we can bring the change. It's not, and I always say, it's not I, it's not you, it's not me, it's us. And just last, because I've been asked to say a few words in Urdu, so I just wanted to say a few things. जैसे कि हम सब लोग जानते हैं कि कार्बन मार्केट्स की जब बात आती है, COP29 की बात आती है, तो इसके अंदर पाकिस्तान जैसे अब ऑपरेशनलाइजिंग के उस मरहले में आ गया है, और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह इंटरनेशनली कॉप के दौरान भी पाकिस्तान की तमाम तर सलाहियतों को और जितनी भी हमारी एफर्ट्स हैं उनको ग्लोबली अप्रिशिएट भी किया गया, उनको सराहा भी गया. अब इस वक्त पाकिस्तान जो है मुकम्मल तौर पर तैयार है. हम तमाम तर सूबों के साथ, AJK, GB, इन तमाम चीज़ों के साथ, सूबों और अपने तमाम तर दोनों जो हमारी लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबलीज हैं उनके साथ मिलकर और प्रॉपरली उनके साथ जो है काम करने के लिए तैयार है. और इसके साथ साथ जैसे जुल्फकार यूनुस साहब ने फरमाया और उन्होंने आप सबको गाइड भी किया कि हमारा जो मैकेनिज्म है वो प्रॉपरली तैयार है. अभी वो टेस्टिंग फेज में है. बहुत जल्द, जैसे उन्होंने बताया कि फरवरी के मंथ में होपफुली वी आर गोइंग टू मेक इट मोर ओवर ऑपरेशनलाइज. इस बीच में तमाम तर सूबों को जहां कहीं पर भी किसी किस्म की जरूरत है, टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस की जरूरत है, या अदर वे अराउंड दे नीड सम असिस्टेंस, द गवर्नमेंट, द फेडरेशन इज वेरी मच अलाइन्ड देयर ओपन हार्टेडली टू सपोर्ट ईच एंड एवरी वन. हम, बिकॉज ये किसी एक की बात नहीं है, ये हम सब की बात है। और यही वजह है कि कॉप के दौरान तमाम तर जो हमारे सूबे थे वहां पर मौजूद थे, बलूचिस्तान हो, KPK हो, पंजाब हो, सिंध हो, AJK हो, GB, दे ऑल वर बीन प्रेजेंट देयर। और कोशिश ये की गई कि तमाम तर जो इंटरनेशनल कम्युनिटी है उनके साथ उनकी जो कम्युनिकेशन है वो हर एक को अपने काम और अपने जो मंसूबे हैं उनके ऊपर बात करने का मौका भी दिया जाए, और ताकि दे शुड एक्सप्लोर मोर विद इंटरनेशनल डेवलपमेंट पार्टनर्स एंड सेक्टर्स इन विच वी गॉट अ ह्यूज सक्सेस। इंशाल्लाह वी आर लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड कि ना सिर्फ ये बल्कि मैं यहाँ पे ये भी कहती चलूं कि हमारा जो प्राइवेट सेक्टर है, वी आर ट्राइंग आवर लेवल बेस्ट। और जैसे कि पिछले इस 10 माह के तकरीबन अप्रैल से जब से मैंने इसका चार्ज लिया, अप्रैल टिल नाउ, वी आर ट्राइंग आवर लेवल बेस्ट टू एंगेज मोर, ज्यादा से ज्यादा जो हमारा प्राइवेट सेक्टर है हम उसको किस तरह से एंगेज कर सकते हैं, हम उनको किस तरह से साथ लेके चल सकते हैं। बिकॉज इट्स कोई एक जो है, जैसे मैंने पहले भी अपनी उस बात के दौरान कहा कि नो वन कैन वर्क इन आइसोलेशन, वी ऑल नीड टू वर्क कोलैबोरेटली। हम किस तरह से एक दूसरे को गाइड कर सकते हैं, कोई भी शख्स मुकम्मल नहीं है, कोई शख्स भी तमाम तर चीजों पर अबूर हासिल नहीं होता किसी को। बजाय ये कि हम एक दूसरे को आगे पीछे धकेलें, इससे बेहतर है कि एक दूसरे का हाथ थाम कर आगे चलें। और यही हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि आप तमाम तर सूबे, प्राइवेट सेक्टर में बहुत खुशी होती है यहाँ पर देख कर कि हमारे प्राइवेट सेक्टर से भी कुछ लोग यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं जिन्होंने थ्रू आउट कार्बन मार्केट पॉलिसीज के उसमें बहुत सारी एफर्ट्स की to make it more successful, and that is what we are saying. And as in the speech of Excellency, he mentioned that individuals do matter, and yes, individuals do matter. हम में से हर एक जो है वो मैटर करता है, no matter किसी चाहे वो किसी छोटी जगह पर है या बड़े मुकाम पे है, किसी छोटे, because I think every individual can do wonders. हम सब मिलकर मुल्क को बदल सकते हैं। सिर्फ मेरे ख्याल में सिर्फ वक्त और हिम्मत जो है वो निकालना है कि क्या हम एक दूसरे का हाथ थामने के लिए और मिलकर चलने के लिए तैयार हैं। अगर कोई गिर रहा है तो उसको संभालने के लिए तैयार है, बजाय कि उसको और धक्का दे दें। सो आई थिंक दिस इज ऑल फॉर आवर कंट्री एंड नॉट फॉर टुडे, इज फॉर द फ्यूचर एज वेल, जो कि हमारे बच्चों का है। जबकि हम ये कहते हैं कि यूथ इज द फ्यूचर, लेकिन मैं ये समझती हूँ जाती तौर पे कि यूथ इज नॉट द फ्यूचर, यूथ इज प्रेजेंट। आवर फ्यूचर इज चिल्ड्रन, हमारा मुस्तकबिल हमारे बच्चे हैं, उनके लिए हम लोग क्या करके जा रहे हैं, दैट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट। विश यू ऑल द वेरी good luck, and in the end I just wanted to say thanks to SDPI and of course all the partners who are sitting over here. Special thanks to Azerbaijan and Denmark as well, because all those who are together in this war of climate change, where how we can bring the changes for the betterment of the of all. Because Pakistan in the COP as well, we have not talked about ourselves, we talk collectively for all the vulnerable countries. So I think we really appreciate and thankful and looking forward for more support and guidance. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Romina. So with this, we'll be concluding the first plenary session, and believe going forward we have a lot of technical discussion and technical presentation, and we'll be taking the inputs from the private sector present here as well. So before going to a quick 5-minute break, let me invite our speakers of the first session for a group photo. If they can please join us at the front, please. Excellencies, Madam Romina, Andrew, Sansab, please join us on the stage. Yeah. Ambassador Shafkat Kakil, sir, please. Please. Mr. Suhail Malik, sir, and colleagues from the above, if you can please join us here. Yeah. Right, please.
It's okay. So please, please. Shakil, frame setter.
Excellent. Please go ahead.
Please.
Ambassador, 2 lines.
Two lines, please.
लंबा हो गया यार जी।
If we can make a set of Yes, I'm change the lamp particularly for to what I'm about to say about
I was telling you that we are hosting plan to host.
अभी मैं आपको प्रेजेंटेशन देना चाह रहा हूँ you like on renewable energy achievements in Pakistan की plus climate change mitigation and mitigation.
Kiran will just be waiting for 5 minutes and then we'll have a technical presentation on carbon markets from the Spark 6C. And we'll also brief on what is the step forward, step 1, 2, 3 as we move forward with this. So we'll start right away at 11:30.
Yeah, connection to that. Of course, that's actually it's so important to have because we've often काशिफ में हाल में नहीं आया वो नहीं है करना पड़ता है बात यार
Hello. Hello, mic test. Hello, hello. Hello, mic test 1 2 3. Check. Hello. 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 Check. Hello. Hello.
All of you to take your seats, please. We are about to start the program. We are about to start the second round of the event. Please take your seats. So please facilitate. Please request you again, take your seats. We are about to start round 2 of the event. Please take your seats. So please facilitate the audience and participants. Please request you all to take your seats. Please to take your seats. Please request the media. The participants and the guests. Please request the guests to please take your seats. Please request the guests at the please take your seats. We have to begin round 2 of the event. Okay.
बस सिर्फ ये कहीं
ठीक
ऐसे इवेंट्स में मैं सिर्फ यहाँ से 10 आदमी उसमें बता रही है लेकिन आगे आपकी जब
please request the guests at the back to take your seats. We are about to begin with round 2 of the event. Please take your seats. We'll have another networking break. May I please request you all to take your seats. We are about to begin the second round of the event. In the next 2 minutes, I'll be inviting Mr. S.N. Kamran, Senior Consultant supporting Article 6 Corporation, 6C, for his keynote presentation. Team STPI, can you please facilitate the guests at the back? We have to start round 2. Please facilitate them. They may take their seats so we can begin.
Training, capacity building. When they have such people जो कि खुद ट्रेनिंग इनको चाहिए कि properly qualified वो जो है अपने साथ engage कर पाए. बहुत सारे लोग हमारे जैसे जो हैं वो without any compensation हम इनके साथ आना चाहें, हम इनको help करें. I also run consulting firm के अलावा जिसका मैं इसका तो employee हूँ. हमारा अपना एक 501c3 organization है, अगर आप समझते हैं, registered in US. तो वो जो है हम philanthropy
You all can hear me. Please take your seats. Guests at the back, colleagues at the back, please take your seats. We need to start round 2 of the event.
Social protection.
energy. तो आपके साथ फिर रहना चाहिए. मेरा core area is renewables. I was chief executive officer of alternative energy development board, Ministry of Water and Power. तो सारे जो renewables के projects हैं मेरे गए. Wind, solar, biomass.
Thank you very much, everyone. May I now please request and invite Mr. S.N. Kamran, Senior Consultant supporting preparedness for Article 6 Corporation Spark 6C for his keynote technical presentation. Over to you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is S.N. Kamranji. Thank you for having me. Thank you to STPI for inviting me to have a quick discussion on carbon markets. I'll switch between Urdu and English, so it should be easier. मुझे ज़्यादा slides वगैरह का शौक नहीं है, so I'd like to keep it interactive. अगर किसी का भी कोई question है, they can just stop me and ask me a question right there and then. So basically, I am a senior consultant for the Spark program. Spark program, as you can see, is supporting preparedness for Article 6 Corporation. So the program is funded by the German government, by ICI. They are the funding partners, and the program lead is GGGI Korea, which is the Global Green Growth Institute. It's an intergovernmental organization, and they have supporting partners. प्रोग्राम का मकसद ये है कि कंट्रीज में कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग करें हम लोग आर्टिकल 6 को तैयार करने के लिए. So there are 4 countries where this program is running. There's Thailand, Zambia, Pakistan, and Colombia. And Pakistan ka, His Excellency is not here at the moment, but Pakistan ka package lead UNEP Copenhagen hai. So UNEP Copenhagen is the team that is working for Pakistan, and we are all reporting to GGGI and the German government. It's a 5-year program with a $20 million budget. And हमारा plan, sorry. Yeah. So हमारा plan ये है कि जी हम लोग we're doing capacity building of the government, the provinces, the planning departments, the private institutes, private sector also, and we are looking for projects. On projects we will not be investing directly, but we will be providing technical capacity building, helping you write PINs, helping you write PDDs, and those projects are part of our mandate, which we will be helping support and launch the Article 6 policy in Pakistan. उसके अलावा हमारा वी हैव एकेडेमिया को सपोर्ट करने का प्रोग्राम, हमारी लम से बात चल रही है, वी हैव कॉप एसिक जिसमें हम we have internees who we are sort of nurturing towards carbon markets. So that's the main agenda of the Spark program. So it's a learn by doing approach. We're doing broad stakeholder engagement. We're catalyzing private sector investment. And we're going beyond capacity building where we hopefully, there's a GGGI has a carbon transaction facility now also. So we are in talks with them also, where different countries have pledged to buy credits through that facility, and hopefully Pakistan can be a partner to that facility also. So this is COP ASIC. We have a network in all our partner countries where we have annual meetings, events, we have research going on. We recruit students for it. So if you know any students who are interested in climate change and carbon markets, they can reach out to us. And it's a very interesting program. Again, we spots and we are filling those up soon. So anyone who'd like to join this program also can reach out to us. Sorry. Okay. आगे एक और, एक और, एक और, एक और. So अभी, you know, we started in 23. हमने 13 project plans बना चुके हैं with different provinces and private sector, जिसमें, you know, there's landfill gas, there's clean cooking, there's renewable energy projects, there's transportation. So जो भी हमारे NDCs के साथ align होते हैं, our main NDCs are forestry, waste, transport and energy. तो इन areas के अंदर हम लोग और भी ढूंढ रहे हैं projects. And we will be helping them make plans and then submitting them to the Ministry of Climate Change. And whichever projects are chosen by the Ministry of Climate Change, then we will move ahead for further technical capacity building for them. There are 3 sectoral studies जो अभी online आने वाली हैं, हम लोगों ने ministry के लिए की है, waste, cement and transport की. COP पे हमने present भी की थी, and these can be found online also on our website. So this is generally the sort of way we're going. The German government is funding it. Then we have our international experts, जो हमारी team है, UNEP, Copenhagen की. Then we have other partners like GFA Consulting from Germany, and of course domestic consultants and all. The German embassy is helping us lead this, and also the Danish embassy we're in talks with to help us. And we're in touch with SDPI also, hopefully, on some areas of significance for us in this sector. So this is just a sort of a history of the carbon markets. I mean, मैं ये पिछले 15 साल से कर रहा हूँ और तब किसी का इंटरेस्ट भी नहीं था और किसी की नॉलेज भी नहीं थी. तो अब अल्लाह के शुक्र से बहुत ज्यादा इंटरेस्ट है, मगर किसी की नॉलेज फिर भी नहीं है. तो you know, it's worked out. CDM शुरू हुआ था. CDM is the old Article 6. CDM को Clean Development Mechanism कहते थे. अगेन ये कंप्लायंस के क्रेडिट्स होते थे, मगर इसमें इंटेग्रिटी इशू बहुत आ गया था, ट्रांसपेरेंसी इशू बहुत आ गया था. चाइना जैसे मुल्कों में एक चीज होती है फाइनेंशियल एडिशनैलिटी, कि कार्बन क्रेडिट्स आर ओनली गिवन एज अ ब्रिज फाइनेंसिंग, व्हेन यू रिक्वायर देम. फिर आपके कार्बन क्रेडिट्स, आपका प्रोजेक्ट का IRR बहुत अच्छा है, द प्रोजेक्ट is at 20-30%, like जितना सोलर पाकिस्तान में लगा है, जो स्टेट बैंक ने सस्ते रेट्स पे लगाया है, फाइनेंशियली एडिशनल होता है, वो कहते हैं व्हाई डू नीड द कार्बन क्रेडिट्स. तो सीधे पे फाइनेंशियल एडिशनैलिटी के से टाइटल होते जा रहे हैं. दैट्स व्हाई जो वॉलंटरी कार्बन मार्केट है, इट्स बीन वेरी सिक्लिकल. यू नो, उसको हमने $1 पे ट्रेड होते हुए देखा है, फिर उसको हमने $10-12 पे ट्रेड होते हुए देखा है. आजकल वो $1-2 पे फिर से आई हुई है, जस्ट बिकॉज financial additionality पे criticism बहुत था. बहुत ज्यादा ऐसा projects, for instance, I'll give you a forestry project जिन्होंने कहा जी हमने, you know, 10 million trees लगाए हैं, मगर उन्होंने लगाए 2 million trees हुए थे. So ये over crediting, transparency, integrity, ये कार्बन मार्केट्स का एक बहुत की एरिया जिसमें मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज बहुत हेवीली फोकस कर रही है. एंड दैट्स व्हाई वो कहते हैं देर है दुरुस्त है, we've been a bit delayed, but we have a very strong policy in place. We have a very strong team in place, which will be looking at the transparency, integrity, जो उसकी one window facility बन रही है, उसके बारे में भी आपको बताता चलता हूँ. तो hence we have reached to Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. Voluntary carbon market उधर ही है. वॉलंटरी कार्बन मार्केट के प्रोजेक्ट्स भी आर्टिकल 6 प्रोजेक्ट बन सकते हैं. आप ऑथराइजेशन मांगेंगे मिनिस्ट्री से, द मिनिस्ट्री विल गिव यू ऑथराइजेशन, देन यू कैन सेल दोस क्रेडिट्स बाय नेशंस. So everybody talks about bio nations in Article 6. There's a sector which no one has touched upon, and that's CORSIA. CORSIA is the aviation scheme by RKO. What is CORSIA? That airlines need to offset. CORSIA credits will be very expensive and they will sell for a lot because अभी उसकी supply बहुत कम है market में. उसके लिए भी आपको आर्टिकल 6 जैसी जो ऑथराइजेशन होती है कंट्री से, वो उसको कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग एडजस्टमेंट जिसको कहते हैं. कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग एडजस्टमेंट क्या चीज है? इट्स वेरी सिंपल. इट्स कि डबल काउंटिंग में है कि आपने इधर भी इस्तेमाल कर लिया, उधर भी इस्तेमाल कर लिया. तो हमारे रजिस्ट्री गुरु आरिफ वहीद साहब आएंगे, वो आप लोगों को बाद में बताएंगे कि वो कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग एडजस्टमेंट्स को किस तरह मार्क करेंगे हमारी इन्वेंट्रीज में मुल्कों की. एंड सो प्लीज डू रिमेंबर कि कुर्सिया एक और मार्केट है कि अगर आर्टिकल 6 की आपकी बायर नेशंस नहीं भी हैं तो कुर्सिया में आप एयरलाइंस को क्रेडिट्स बेच सकते हैं, वॉलंटरी क्रेडिट्स बेच सकते हैं. उसके लिए भी आपको गवर्नमेंट से चाहिए होगी जिस तरह आर्टिकल 6 की अप्रूवल चाहिए होगी. सो बेसिकली आर्टिकल 6 क्या है? एक 6.2 की सारी बात करते हैं, एक 6.4 की सारी बात करते हैं. 6.2 ये है कि हमने G2G करनी है. G2G हम डिफरेंट नेशंस के साथ अभी बात कर रहे हैं. जिस तरह प्रीवियस स्पीकर्स ने बताया, काफी मुल्कों के साथ हमारी बात हुई है. वो नेशंस डायरेक्टली इन्वेस्ट करेंगी पाकिस्तान में, पाकिस्तान के प्रोजेक्ट्स में, और पाकिस्तान के क्रेडिट्स यूज करेंगे अपने इन्वेंट्रीज के अंदर. That is what 6.2 is. It's a cooperative approach. जिस तरह अभी घाना की लोग बात करते हैं, Switzerland through Click Foundation. Now, Click Foundation is the arm of the Swiss government. Click Foundation has just invested $900 million in Ghana just for Article 6 projects. So we hope that Pakistan can open up these doors and तब से होते हैं हम लोग फॉरेन रिजर्व्स हमारे डिप्लीट हो रहे होते हैं. सो दिस इज एन एवेन्यू यू कैन गेट अ लॉट ऑफ फॉरेन डायरेक्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट, यू गेट अ लॉट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर, यू क्रिएट अ लॉट ऑफ जॉब्स एंड योर एनडीसीज गेट अचीव्ड आल्सो बिकॉज यू देयर आर लॉट ऑफ ट्रांसफर फीस. सो जब आप ये क्रेडिट बेचेंगे उन मुल्कों को, मिनिस्ट्री एक ट्रांसफर फी आपसे लेती है विच इज अबाउट 18% सारा एड अप करके, और उन ट्रांसफर फीस से फिर हम अपने और एनडीसी प्रोजेक्ट्स को do further projects run by the ministry. 6.4 is very interesting. So 6.4 is something like 6.2. G2Gs. 6.4 is the new CDM. It's a mechanism that UNFCCC has created itself. You register your project on 6.4, you will get carbon credits which are 6.4 ERs, and you can sell them to compliance markets. But for 6.4 also at some areas, authorization from the ministry, and some areas you won't. So 6.4 was a big thing that happened in Baku this year that got approved. And 6.4 will make it very easy to go straight into the compliance market. 6.2 के लिए अभी क्या करना पड़ता है कि आपको पहले voluntary market में you register the project and then you convert it into an ICMO. Because हमारी registry transaction registry तो बन गई है, but at this moment जो buyer nations and they prefer कि वो voluntary carbon standards के through reroute हों क्योंकि उनकी regulations बहुत stringent हैं. Hence 6.2 at the moment will be rerouted through Vera, Gold Standard, Plan Vivo, GCC standards like this. So these are the four basically main things that we need to be doing. Establishing a national carbon market framework, जो हम लोग कर चुके हैं, उसके rules बन रहे हैं, policy cabinet में approval कर दी है. VCM की हम लोग क्या देख रहे हैं कि VCM भी हमने push करना है. Everything cannot go towards Article 6. VCM is important, especially in land use and forestry projects. Because कई nations and they're a bit shaky on कि जी हम land use or forestry projects Article 6 में खरीदेंगे कि नहीं, because of there's a problem about permanence. The trees get cut, there's no permanence over there. So I believe that the VCM will become sort of at a later stage a forestry standard, a forestry sector, a forestry market mechanism. And there are a lot of forestry projects, there's a lot of plantation projects. For scale चाहिए होती है, you know. And what you need to understand is that in forestry, you just don't do forestry, you do agroforestry. So what you do is you get a parcel of land, you set up a forestry, but then you set up some crops, some plantations. इंडिया के अंदर कॉफी, ऑलिव्स, पीनट्स, इस तरह की चीजें लग रही हैं. तो उसमें होता क्या है कि आपकी एक और रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम आ जाती है, शुरू कर देती है. एंड बाय द टाइम योर ट्रीज ग्रो इन 4 or 5, that's when your carbon credits start kicking in. Something very interesting about forestry projects. It's a normal carbon credit cycles at 10 years. That's how long you get carbon credits for. For forestry, you get carbon credits for 20 years and it's renewable 5 times. So technically, you can get carbon credits for 100 years if you do forestry and land-based projects. So it's a very interesting area, and we're in discussion with a lot of provincial governments also to push on the forestry side, because those are the real carbon sinks. Another thing which needs to be understood is that most carbon projects जो आप लोग देखते हैं, ये अवॉइडेंस के प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं. अवॉइडेंस क्या है कि जी मैंने रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी की, इसका मतलब है कि ग्रिड का लोड कम और ग्रिड की डिमांड बड़ी मेरे प्रोजेक्ट की वजह से. क्योंकि मैं steel plant लगा रहा था, and the steel plant requires 30 megawatts. The 30 megawatts is renewable. Hence, I haven't added demand of 30 megawatts to the grid. Hence, 30 megawatts of furnace oil has not been used. This is called avoidance. But now there's criticism towards avoidance also, and now we're moving towards removals. What is removals? Removals is when you actually remove carbon from the air. So removal projects, again, forestry, great removal projects. CCS, carbon capture and storage, very expensive technology, a bit difficult in Pakistan to do. Another very interesting area for everyone to look at, which our partners at NRSP, the National Rural Support Program, we're looking at clean cooking also, but biochar. I don't know how many people have heard about biochar. Biochar वेस्ट को आप लेके pyrolysis करते हैं. पुराने जमाने में आपने सुना होगा जो टायरों से तेल निकालते थे, हर बंदा एक छोटी फैक्ट्री लगाता था, टायर से तेल निकालता था. That's called pyrolysis. So what you do is you take your agri waste, आपको स्मॉग का इतना मसला है, आपके फार्मर्स हर चीज बर्न कर देते हैं. So any of the agri waste, आपका राइस हो गया, आपका राइस हस्क हो गया, you take your agri waste and you heat it at a high pressure and it turns into biochar, which is black fertilizer. What's great about biochar? Biochar, when you put it in the ground, it increases your yield by 20%. It increases your water retention by 20%. So farmer को फायदा हो रहा है. मतलब उसके आगे एक और क्या इंटरेस्टिंग चीज है कि biochar absorb करता है carbon dioxide. So when you absorb it and you put it on the ground, you're locking in the carbon dioxide. So avoidance credit is for $1 or $2, $3, $4. Biochar credits sell for $60 to $70. And we are agri-based economy, so biochar is a very important area to look at. सारे इसकी तस्वीर ले लें, बड़ा टेक्निकल चीज है. I only have 2 minutes to conclude, but this is the Article 6 is set up. This is how registry services work and how countries will be buying and selling in 6.2 and 6.4. At a later stage, I can explain this to you, how this will work and how this is. But this is the main sort of infrastructure of, let's say, the Article 6. So, just rushing quickly. Assess, define, draft, consult. So आप लोग देख सकते हैं कि पाकिस्तान में हम बहुत आगे आ चुके हैं. हम लोग implementation stage पे हैं. So again, a great job done from the Ministry of Climate Change within a year. Started steps लेते हुए we're final can operationalize कर रहे हैं, हम submit कर रहे हैं और हमारे projects ready होने लगे हैं. And again, सारे speakers ने पहले यही बात की, but बाकी हमने पॉलिसी लॉन्च कर दी थी, उसके रूल्स अब बन रहे हैं, उसको रूल्स हम बहुत जल्दी ratify कराएंगे और people can start applying for LOIs. वन विंडो फैसिलिटी मिनिस्ट्री ही बन गई है। आप लोगों में से कोई भी मिनिस्ट्री में एक स्पेशल सेक्शन ऑफिसर आ चुके हैं जो कार्बन मार्केट्स देखते हैं, ही कैन बी कॉन्टैक्टेड फॉर फर्दर इंफॉर्मेशन। A dashboard also online, all projects will be available. You can invest in them. You can set up, you can see which kind of projects, what is the procedure of getting authorization, working with the ministry. We already have a big pipeline of 15 to 20 projects which are ready to go online. So if you guys have any projects or any concepts, please discuss that with us at the ministry. And again, G2G discussions going on, Pakistan with Singapore and other countries, and hopefully we can, the market's supposed to be 250 billion by 2030, a Barclays report says. So अगर उसका हमें 10% भी 1% भी मिल जाए तो I think we'll be in very good hands. So we're hoping for the best and for carbon markets to get operationalized and make a lot of money for Pakistan and achieve a lot of climate goals in our NDCs. Thank you. This is it.
Thank you very much. Ji, we'll be taking interventions later on from all the participants. I request you all to please note down your questions. We have to start taking the interventions from our roundtable speakers. And my name is Zainab Naeem, and I lead the Ecological Sustainability and Circular Economy Unit at STP, and I'm also working with Energy Unit team on the Carbon Markets Project. So once again, I welcome you all to this important discussion around Article 6 and how it needs to be operationalized. With this, we are going to begin with the first roundtable. I'm really excited because here we are going to get a mix-up of interventions from public and private sector and what is their stance, whether it's technical or generic. It is going to be very helpful, not just for the carbon markets, but of course for the NDC 3.0 as well. So with this, I would like to start with Mr. Andrew Bailey, CEO, BSF, and more importantly, his affiliation with OICCI. Mr. Bailey, may I please request you to share your intervention as a representative of private sector. How do you see the operationalization of Article 6 in Pakistan and whether private sector is ready to take this leap? Over to you.
Good. Well, I think in short, the private sector is obviously very ready, but I think there's a little bit more to it, and I think the private sector cannot do it alone. But let's walk through it. But I think first of all, I'm here to represent the OICCI, which has been around for 150 years, formed in 1860. It represents more than 200 member companies in 14 different sectors, representing 30 different countries. In total, in the last decade, member companies have invested $23 billion, which is actually higher than the net foreign direct investment. So the RCCI member companies have done a lot for Pakistan. We also have contributed more than 9 billion in terms of taxes and levies. So that contributes around a third of government revenue. So a significant player. But what is the role of the private sector? And I think probably three top areas, obviously driving net zero, mobilizing capital, and awareness and commitment. And I think this awareness and commitment for forums like this, as well as the OICCI Pakistan Climate Conference. We've had two. We have our third one due at the end of this month. But really focusing with those roles, but really focusing on climate resilience, green financing, carbon markets, emissions and clean energy, waste and plastic management. And I think if we look at pivot into exactly what have the member companies. I think coming from our participation at COP, where we were a very proud participant together with STPI and the government of Pakistan, I think there's a lot more that we can do to capture what the private sector is doing. But just a couple of sort of 3-4 areas, obviously renewable energy. I think there's been a significant importation of solar panels, something like 15 gigawatts in the last year, but certainly member companies like Unilever, Nestle, Indus, Lipton, and a number of others invested significantly in solar panels. We've also have another 6 megawatts coming on stream in the next 1 to 2 years. If we look at waste management, more than 30 million rupees invested in effective waste management practices, aligned with obviously SDG 12. Nestle have been playing a leading role there with the installation of more than 21 biogas plants around the country, also biological wastewater. Looking forward, plastic recycling, a significant play, where more than 20% increase in plastic recycling content by 2025 is envisaged. But also at the same time to reduce virgin plastic wastage. If we look at carbon reduction initiatives, there more than 150 million rupees have been invested in carbon reduction projects. Notable ones, obviously, the Hub Power Company or the group of companies have planted more than 25,000 trees, Metro Pakistan, Indus, and have contributed significantly. And I think there's a lot more coming in that regard. The list goes on, but I think we're not doing enough. And I don't think I think a lot is being done, but I don't think we're capturing that to really show the full extent of what we're doing. And I think the one such example is the investments that the ORCCI member companies have invested in CSR activities aligned with SDG goals is more than $50 million, which is a lot more than some of the multilateral organizations. So this is where the private sector, I think the power of the private sector, but I think we've got to capture that. And this is where ORCCI is playing a role. But also we can't do it alone. And the ORCCI has partnered with the UNDP to foster a more sustainable and inclusive Pakistan, focusing on a number of areas: gender equality and diversity, sustainable climate initiatives, social impact investment, and the one which is really just starting to take off is building a pipeline of bankable projects. And I think we heard that time and time again. The carbon markets and how it works is one thing, but I think if we can feed it with a lot of projects, we will sort a lot of those problems out. And I think this is where the private sector can play a role. As public finance for sustainable development and spending is shrinking owing to the global poly crisis, governments and development partners are seeking innovative finance solutions for climate resilience, which crowds in private sector capital as a third outcome payer. And this is particularly required in debt-distressed countries like Pakistan. The private sector is ready and poised to leverage historic opportunity to contribute to sustainable finance because of not only our own needs for ESG and sustainable standards reporting, compliance reporting, etc., also CSR responsibility. Through our partnership with the ORCCI and UNDP, we are uniquely positioned to work with the government and development partners for blended finance solutions for SDG investments and climate resilience. Together, the government of Pakistan, the UNDP and ORCCI, and certainly I think from the discussions that we just had today, I think there's a lot more that we can play together to really develop and to take this bankable pipeline of projects to fruition. So I think in short and in summary, ORCCI will remain at the forefront of the climate action in Pakistan for the private sector. Our members are making great strides to enhance sustainability and reduce environmental impacts. We remain committed to play a meaningful role alongside development partners and the government of Pakistan to drive climate action. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bailey, for highlighting the key areas and sectors or the priority areas by the private sector in Pakistan for carbon credits. Now there are three kinds of concepts around carbon credits. I'm sure in the second roundtable that will be moderated by my colleague Salia, there we will have more discussions. There are plastic credits, there are green credits, and then carbon credits. So let's see where we are indulging into. I'll be asking the colleagues from the government also the same question. But I think in context of climate investment plans and the CSR of the private sector, there lies a great opportunity. We do understand the fact that public finance is shrinking, but I think mobilizing the private sector finance in the right areas and the priorities being settled mutually by the public and private sector, there we have a potential opportunity to leverage not just the carbon markets, but also other important aspects that are attached to climate action. So thank you for your intervention. Now we have some online participants also. We have Sana, Mr. Arif Gohi, and Mr. Suhail Malik. So Mr. Suhail Malik, I'll start from you. Being a climate expert and providing technical insights, we are really grateful to Mr. S.N. Kamran for showcasing and highlighting what exactly are the regulatory, aspects of carbon markets. What do you think is the technical challenge that will prevail for the private sector, and not just the private sector, but also for the public sector organizations when it comes to carbon markets readiness and preparedness in Pakistan?
Thank you very much. I think, in this respect, let's not forget that we should learn from our earlier experiences. There was a mention of CDM, and that was long time back. But just to refresh our minds, CDM had 13,000 projects approved. And we were only able to harness less than 1% of that. 70%, more than 70% resources were used by India and China. So, this is the context that we missed the train then. That's what we have to understand. But I think in such misses, we have lessons. So whatever I see in mapping out our strategies, we need to bring in the experiences of earlier CDM, where Pakistan didn't really fare well, how it could do better. But coming down to the challenges, as you mentioned, that what kind of challenges? I can say 2 or 3 upfront. It is the high implementation costs. That's something which really needs to be catered for, because for private sector there was a word used, R&R. This is risk and return profile, and that's where things kind of boil down to. Private sector will only come in if the risks are clearly laid out and mitigated, and there is a return in there. So we should be ready that these new methodologies will carry cost and will carry a heavy cost. That is one part of it. So I was encouraged to see that there's a lot of plans, programs which are underway by government to increase the capacity. There's another thing that as we look into the details of 6.2, 6.4, 6.8, we see more complexity and compliance. So we should be ready that it's not going to be a simple, straightforward process. It will be complex, and it will be. The compliance will be challenging. Then there is the whole issue of technical capacity. We should be clear that we have lack of local expertise. Till now, we were talking about climate finance, and within the climate finance, even structuring climate finance projects has been a big issue, because the basics of climate finance are not, commonly understood. They are still taken as normal development programs. So, those challenges are there, but that does not mean that we should not. It's a very unique opportunity. One thing there was no mention was the flexibility part of it, of this Article 6. So what we are seeing is that, one, Pakistan is being offered this unique opportunity to manage its carbon market regime, which is unique. We are getting the reins in our own hands, and we should rather strongly hold the reins and be disciplined and robust in laying out our strategy, which is cut across horizontally, vertically, within the systems, within our processes, within our procedures. But at the same time, the flexibility, I would like to point out, I think Kamran said that, our issues are of high debt. So this flexibility offers not only to use, it gives a flexibility in the end use of MCUs. That means that the carbon credits would be, the use of those carbon credits would be in our hands. So we can relate them to NDCs, but we can also have innovative ways of addressing our debt issues. Because debt is something which
will overwhelm most of our efforts when it comes down to the actual financing of the things. So that is one part. Last part, I would say that we should dare out to be setting up ETS, emission trading systems also, because this is something which we should not miss the opportunity, even though we have a lot of other challenges. But at the strategic level, ETS is something which we should be looking at, and we have a lot of support mechanisms, World Bank, even GCF, where readiness support is there.
Yes.
We can use the readiness support. I'll stop here and we can come back again.
Okay, thank you so much for your intervention. In context of CDM, I think, well, at that time, it was a great opportunity. But I'm sure there are people who will agree with me that when CDM was there, we did not have the kind of momentum we have now. There were buzzwords. Yes, it was mostly, that CDM was mostly something that the government understood at that time, that maybe the technical experts understood at that time. But I don't think so that we had the same kind of buzz we have within youth now and within private sector. So yes, in that perspective, I'm really hopeful that this time we did not get success in CDM, but maybe in carbon markets, we will see something definitely. So thank you so much for your intervention. We have been joined by Ms. Ritika from South Pole. Ms. Ritika, you have been listening the interventions. She is joined online. So may I please request you to briefly share your insights or your take around how do you see the operationalization of Article 6, especially for countries like Pakistan? Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I have a few slides that I actually wanted to use in my intervention, which would be helpful for the understanding of the participants. But I don't seem to have the rights to share my screen.
He has provided you the rights.
Yes, now I do. Thank you. Sorry, just bear with me for a second.
Yes, we can see your slides.
Amazing, thank you, and hello everyone. It's great to be part of this panel and speak to all of you on this really important topic. So very quickly, do you still see my slides, by the way?
No, we see the notes, not the slides.
Right. Just give me a quick minute. I'm not sure what's happening. Sorry, just give me a second.
Ms. Ritika, we can't hear you now.
Can I maybe go in the next? I seem to have been having some issues with my slides.
Take your time and
Yes,
we'll take.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So in the meanwhile, Ms. Sana, may I please ask you, although we do understand that the carbon markets policy has been announced and launched at COP29, but it's one question that always pops up. I think there's need to be a bit of clarity around it. Are we going with VCMs, or is it going to be a compliance that Pakistan will have to follow? And how do you think that will be operationalized in Pakistan? Over to you.
Thank you, Zainab, for asking that question. Actually, it's very important to have a discussion on this, especially in the presence of private sector, which is going to lead the market. It's very heartening, first of all, let me say, to see such excited participation from the private sector. the private sector is the custodian of carbon markets, right? The ambition, the aim behind the policy guidelines, as well as the rules and regulations that will come out of this would be just simply to facilitate the private sector as best as possible, right? The idea of a voluntary carbon market is that it has to be voluntary and it has to be based on market principles, right? It does not have to be over-regulated. And that's exactly the direction that we're taking. So essentially, at the moment, just for clarity, S. N. Kamran Saab's already sort of given a very apt picture of what the market is like. We have the voluntary carbon markets, the VCM, and then there is the Article 6 market, which is the 6.2 and 6.4 markets, which are termed as the compliance market under Pakistan's policy. The fundamental difference between both from a policy perspective is that the VCM market is an open market where project developers can take their project, get it approved, accredited from an accrediting agency, and then trade it in that market by identifying buyers. And the VCM market predominantly operates on a brokership model. So the brokers take the project to buyers. They help identify buyers and then take that project there. There are minimum possible regulations on that VCM, essentially no regulations on the VCM, right? So anyone who's interested in trading in the VCM simply has to register that project on the national registry so that it is in the database. And if in future that project developer is interested in taking the project into Article 6 market, just has to indicate if that is a possibility in the future so that it's on the government's radar, on the nationally designated authorities' radar, and then start trading in that market, right? On the Article 6 front, right, that would be cooperative approaches, that would be the CDM to SDM transition. And that's the area where the National Registry comes in, where robust environmental reporting will take place, because that's where corresponding adjustments would be applied, right? Inconsistency checks would be applied. So there is essentially at COP29 negotiations, we went in and tried to bargain regarding the reporting requirements for developing countries. We've been able to tone down that language on reporting. However, the requirements are still quite stringent, right, in the interest of transparency. So any project developers who are interested in trading in Article 6 would have to meet those reporting requirements. So top quality baseline data to build the trust of the buyer. And then also in terms of reporting on the national registry as per the agreed electronic format, there is a list of data requirements that have to be fulfilled over there, right? So coming back to Zainab, your question on VCM or the compliance market on Article 6 and which way it should be. This is my perception, my opinion, based on how the markets are operating and the discussion that was taking place in the technical negotiation rooms. I feel that the VCM is a good starting point, right? Pakistan has already had several success stories in the VCM, in fact, but one that has made global headlines. So I think they're very well positioned to get into the VCM, and that will give our project developers an idea of what the market is like, to get a feel of that market. And also in terms of, as Asan mentioned, the CORSIA market, in terms of getting those credits accredited from international agencies. So we'd have done that homework, and then from that VCM pipeline, from the most successful projects that are being traded in the VCM market, I think it'll be very easy for us to develop the right pipeline of projects to take into the Article 6 market. And VCM would also be our marketing to the rest of the world on the potential of Pakistan's carbon market as a seller. And I think it'll help us attract buyers from the international market who would be interested in investing in the VCM. So that's the way forward, but project developers are most welcome to adopt their own strategy, I think, and get into the VCM or Article 6 as they please.
Thank you very much, Sana, and thank you for highlighting the technical aspects. Also, you have been instrumental during the negotiations around Article 6, and we really look forward to how private sector and the public sector collaborate for the carbon markets. We have colleagues from above as well. Mr. Riaz, if I would request you for your intervention. Yes, sir, please. How do you see this carbon market finance and carbon credits finance getting operationalized in Pakistan?
So obviously, financial institution has to back in terms of product development for their carbon trading, as well as certification in this regard. So National Institute of Banking and Finance, Pakistan is a subsidiary of State Bank of Pakistan, but we are catering for specifically for the commercial and the banking industry and the central banking, together with different areas in banking and finance. Sustainable finance is one of the area where we are focusing. So one of the area where we can contribute is when we are trying to create a product which can actually finance this carbon credit if financing is required. So I'm sure that we can contribute that. Giving some experience of ours, I'll just give you some background. What we have done till now, obviously, State Bank, from State Bank perspective, we started with the incentive of green financing policy guidelines, which we gave it in 2017. Then we have got environmental and social risk management manual, which is being implemented in the banks in 2022. And now we are working on green taxonomy. And the objective of green taxonomy is to standardize the measurement of carbon emissions or carbon savings. So it's standardized with the government. So once that is done, it's much more easier to identify an activity with the carbon positive or carbon negative. So I'm sure this exercise with the help of World Bank, which is being carried out. We as an institute have been working with organizations like WWF for regenerative agriculture, as well as for reduction in carbon emissions in textile. Together with this, we were armed for as a training for the ESIM manual for State Bank, and we have worked with even UNIDO for renewable energy. So I think we are well placed. Our organization is well placed to create products and develop areas which can facilitate the banks in facilitating the business community, as well as in trading these organizations. So the financing can be done by the product development can be done by us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and that's very hopeful for us, for all of us here. Financial institutions take the lead, and I think it's going to provide a very important platform, especially the green taxonomy, for the whole of the country and all key stakeholders. Thank you for your intervention, Mr. Arif Gurir, and then Dr. Irfan, I'll be coming towards you as well. Mr. Arif Gurir, so what sort of percentage you think needs to be adjusted in the NDC 3.0 through carbon markets, whether it's going to be in mitigation or there's going to be another aspect attached to it, that what percentage Pakistan will be utilizing of carbon credits, or what is the possibility to develop internationally that this is how we are offsetting through carbon credits? Maybe in simple words, how carbon markets and credits can be aligned in the NDC 3.0 for Pakistan. Over to you.
Thank you, Zainab, and thank you to STPI and Embassy of Denmark for organizing this event on Article 6. It is really, you can say, appreciating that the momentum after COP is being pursued with. That is very, very, very welcoming. As far as NDCs are concerned, we are in the process of developing NDC 3 under Article 4 of the Paris Agreement, which is obligatory for the countries to submit after every 5 years. So we are in that process. We are happy that after 9 years of the Paris Agreement, Article 6 decisions are there. I will not say that we are fully ready for it. Readiness is there, and readiness is the key to get the benefits. Given the learnings from the experiences of the CDM, as my colleagues, fellow panelists have also highlighted. So this time we are more robust, we are more, you can say, aware of what we want to do. The system is in place now. The rules and regulations are in the finalization process, and soon the carbon registry will be functioning. During the process of NDC2 implementation, we have realized that there is a huge financial gap. Though we have committed 50% of reduction, out of which 35% we made as conditional, and unfortunately, we were not able to get massive support from the international community in fulfilling our commitments. NDC3, in NDC2, we have touched upon the market and non-market approaches, but at that time there were no decisions. But now we have the decision on Article 6. The role of the private sector is well encapsulated in the decisions. It is well established now. But I will still say that the significant portion of the mitigation and adaptation interventions that we are going to enshrine in NDC3 will be focusing on the role of the private sector and Article 6 implication sort of things. But it requires a thorough work to chalk out, since many interventions are going on, like green tagging of the budget and green taxonomy. My colleague from State Bank has highlighted GCSE part of all these activities. But still, it requires a rigorous exercise to bifurcate how much quantum of the NDC finances that we will be required will met through the Article 6 or the carbon market policy guidelines. It requires a thorough work, but we can give a ballpark value that almost so much amount of finances can be tried for to be get it from the carbon market. But again, saying it requires a work, and it is quite at the early stage. Let me say that we can highlight that the quantum of the carbon markets in meeting the financial requirements of NDC3. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arif Kohir. So, Dr. Irfan, before I take you, we have been joined by Ms. Komal from Vera. Ms. Komal, may I please request you, you have been listening, and also earlier in the morning, Dr. Solori said that Pakistan needs to come up with its own accreditation body that is linked with international accreditation bodies like Vera. So, how do you see that, and what do you propose in this perspective? Over to you, please.
Hello, good afternoon. It's my privilege to be joining this panel discussion today. Sorry, your question was not very clear. The voice was shaky a bit, but perhaps I can just start by sharing, as a leading standard setter and representing Vera, what is the key update from COP29 in the context of Article 6, and what it means for independent crediting programs, such as those for Vera. And what are the potential advantages of using independent crediting programs such as ICP, which is ICP, in the context of Article 6 cooperation? So if that's all right, that's what I just quickly try to cover. I think we all could agree that passing of Article 6 is a historical step towards global climate cooperation, and it provides countries with a new framework for utilizing independent crediting programs, which is ICPs, in support of their climate ambitions. And Vera, as a leading standard setter, stands ready to work with nations to help them harness the opportunities that this decision presents. A lot has been said today about Article 6.2 and 6.4, particularly in respect of Article 6.2. It allows governments and private sector participants to cooperate internationally through market-based mechanisms to meet their climate targets. One option under Article 6.2 is for governments to work through existing independent carbon crediting programs, which are already operational and being used extensively by market participants to certify their emission reductions and removals, thereby relieving governments of the administrative burden associated with developing their own approaches. There are specific advantages of using an ICP in Article 6 cooperation, and I will just try to highlight some of them here and maybe build upon them quickly as well. So first of all, ICPs already have robust MRV and certification processes that can accelerate 6.2 implementation. It also lowers entry barriers for countries by reducing administrative burden, which I already highlighted. Project developers and investors are familiar with ICP processes, and within Pakistan, whereas VCS program has more than 15 projects already at various stages of development, which sort of highlights already the importance of financing alternative finance mechanisms in meeting nations' NDCs. And finally, leading ICPs are already being approved within mechanisms such as CORSIA and ICVCM, as well as domestic compliance regimes. Now, one important development in this context that I want to highlight is many of you would be aware that the Singapore government, Gold Standard, and Vera together released the initial recommendations outlining the progress in development of a carbon crediting protocol to implement effectively Article 6.2. These initial recommendations set out key concepts and processes that will form the basis of this protocol that will be published in full now following conclusion of COP29. This initiative will create a harmonized playbook for Article 6.2 implementation for governments and will build upon the guidance that has already been established by UNFCCC by maintaining common operating procedures that clarify roles and responsibilities of different parties involved. This report also calls on governments to take steps to limit regulatory and market risk associated with 6.2 transactions, and also provides clear steps on how the governments can facilitate clear and effective Article 6.2 market. Particularly in context of Pakistan, the region could make use of initial recommendations to design and establish Article 6.2 procedures. This initiative, although is entirely voluntary, but we hope to see many countries will be able to join and contribute towards effective development of this initiative. And finally, a lot has also been talked about in the context of ICVCM and CORSIA, particularly for the VCS program. Quick update there, positive update, 3 VCS methodologies, the JNR, Jurisdictional and Nested RED Plus framework, VM48, which is the RED methodology, and VM47, afforestation, reforestation, and revegetation secured the ICVCM's approval for core carbon principles. Under CORSIA's first phase, all technology-based VCUs under various VCS are eligible, except a few categories such as sectoral scope 16, which is carbon capture and storage, large-scale renewable energy projects, and a couple of cook stove methodologies, all of which need to now update to VM50, which is energy efficiency and fuel switch measures in cook stoves. Similarly, under the first phase of CORSIA, VCUs from AFLU projects in RED Plus countries are also eligible. There are some exclusions. I will not go into the details of these. There are some conditions that apply, particularly VM33, which is the methodology for tidal, wetlands, and seagrass restoration is eligible. And I'm highlighting this because under the VCS program from Pakistan, we already have 2 projects that are using the VM33 methodology. Now, all of this sort of is building towards saying that the VCS program in Pakistan has already demonstrated that VCM is a viable finance mechanism that could contribute towards nations' NDCs and promote sustainable development. So that's all in a gist from my side. I would have to jump off because of other commitments, but I'm always happy to take questions offline or later on. Thank you very much for the audience.
Thank you very much, Ms. Komal, for your intervention and for highlighting how VERA is engaging globally and how Pakistan can take the opportunities. Thank you for joining us online. So my team says I'm left with only 5 to 6 minutes. Dr. Irfan, and then Ms. Ritika, I'll be coming towards you. Yes, Dr. Irfan, your intervention as a technical expert, one challenge and one opportunity.
Yeah, I'm a kind of a person, I don't see challenges as things which can deter us from taking benefit to the markets. However, there are a lot of opportunities. We have people sitting around us who are now, well, they know that how the markets can leveraged and can be benefited. The government support is there. The banks and the financial institutions are there. That means we are ready to foster the development, and just we need the pipeline of the projects, which should be the bankable projects, and private sector has to take the lead and to come forward with the potential projects and go to the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Irfan. The kind of messages of hope that is needed. So thank you for your intervention. Yes, Ms. Ritika, I hope you're ready for the intervention. And also, may I please request, we are only left with 5 minutes. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Zainab, and thank you for the apologies for the challenges I had earlier. I would really like to thank STPI for inviting South Pole in this very timely discussion around operationalization of Article 6 in Pakistan. South Pole also appreciates the continued collaboration we have with SDPI as it strives to promote ESG in Pakistan. We are also very happy to be collaborating very closely with Mr. Shakib Bilahi from Delta International to assist banks in Pakistan to achieve their SDGs. For those of you who don't know South Pole very well, we are the world's leading carbon asset developer and climate consulting company based out of Switzerland, but with a global footprint of 30 plus countries that we operate in. And have projects in. Since about 2006, we have been working and advising governments, private sector, as well as public organizations on their decarbonization planning, specifically to use markets to channel climate finance in over 850 projects across the globe. On Article 6, we have been working on implementation aspects of Article 6 since the time Paris Agreement was signed, since 2015. We've been very lucky to be associated with the world's first Article 6 program, which was implemented in Thailand as a collaboration between the Swiss and Thai governments who were looking to leverage ITMOs under Article 6, or particularly Article 6.2, but there were no such projects at the time. So we assisted our client called Energy Absolute, which is a bus company in Bangkok, to launch electric buses on the roads of Thailand, on the roads of Bangkok, replacing ICE engine buses. This is the world's first Article 6 program which received its authorization in February of 2023, which followed by the first sort of transfer of ITMOs between Switzerland and between Thailand and Switzerland in December 2023. So from that perspective, and now we are now working in a dozen plus countries, developing a pipeline of carbon projects for our clients, working very closely with all Article 6 sovereign and compliance buyers. From that perspective, and we have a few lessons that we see in this market. It is certainly a very enticing market to utilize sort of private sector finance, let's say, on scaling climate action in developing countries. At the same time, there are several challenges that one foresees already, particularly considering that this is a market that has, as one of my colleagues mentioned, has a very tight rope of regulations, not just from the perspective of a standard that carbon project developers have to comply with to generate the carbon asset, but also from the perspective of the host country as well as the buyer country. And this particular additional sort of risk that comes with carbon projects that are being developed under Article 6 requires technical advisors like ourselves to very closely monitor and reflect on developments in host countries and host country governments. I'm a little bit stripped on time, so I wouldn't go into the details of some of the key takeaways that we had as market participants from Baku. But perhaps for the audience, it may be useful to quickly speak through how we see 2025 going for Article 6 markets and what is the long-term view for carbon markets. As we've heard from most panelists about the success of Baku in finalizing Article 6.2 rulebook. A less sort of advertised outcome of Baku was also that the Baku decisions finalized the requirements that CDM projects, CDM ARR projects, forestry projects would need to meet for them to be able to transition into the Article 6.4 mechanism or the Paris Agreement crediting mechanism. These transition CDM credits, which have the possibility to become Article 6.4 credits, if they are approved by host governments like Pakistan, would be the first Article 6.4 ERs to hit the market. At the same time, while we see these first Article 6.4 ERs to hit the market sometime mid this year under Article 6.4 would focus very largely on development of methodologies under the PACM standard or the Article 6.4 standard, making way for hopefully the first set of sort of greenfield Article 6.4 ERs sometime in 2026. At the same time, the general mode of collaboration on Article 6 in 2025, we expect it to be similar to as it has been since the Glasgow rules were adopted, which is through bilateral agreements between buyer countries and seller countries like Pakistan, right? We do anticipate these trades to get scaled now that the entirety of the Article 6 rulebook is finalized. It also, the fact that we don't expect negotiations till about 2028 now on Article 6 also gives a good 3 years for the market participants to understand the nuances of this new mechanism, to define correct business models that work in this mechanism. I must stress here that our initial experiences with the mechanism are that the drivers for Article 6 as a market are very different from the drivers for the VCM, both from the perspective of how early does one have to jump into the opportunity, how much there is a need to collaborate between the buy and the sell side, which was not the case in the VCM, as well as as I mentioned, the new risks one sees around these units. As for the long-term view, and I think a lot of my fellow panelists have mentioned this already, in the long term, we see a segmented market in the making. I would leave the colleagues with this slide, which in my view it summarizes the market that we are heading towards. There was a discussion around whether VCM or Article 6. What we are looking into, I think, 2-3 years down the line, is a market that is segmented based on use cases, right? Based on whether host countries like Pakistan authorize for that, those types of credits, yes, those type of projects, and so on. Perhaps,
Ms. Ritika, apologies, we are a bit ahead of time, but thank you so
no
much.
problem.
For sharing your intervention and the slides. I'm sure the participants have questions, but for that, so I'd like to request Ms. Salia Qureshi, my colleague, to please take over from here for the interactive Q&A session with the participants who have joined us in person and online. So, Ms. Salia Qureshi.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Saliha Qureshi, and I'm currently leading a center on industrial decarbonization in Pakistan at STPI. So I think the wonderfully presented on Article 6 and its operationalization by the experts, and also a lot of discussion that how it can be more inclusive in businesses and private sector and all the other key sectors to make it more operationalized in that way. So moving forward, so if you are now about to start a question and answer session, and after that we will have concluding remarks by Ms. Aisha Humaira Chaudhary, who is the Additional Secretary at Ministry of Climate Change. So I think if someone has questions, we have experts with us, so who can maybe answer your concerns on that. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. Yes, please introduce yourself and then go.
My name is Hamad Bashir. I'm a consultant with few international companies on multiple areas. My question is with Mr. Essen. You mentioned about the projects related to, I mean, you're supporting PIN and PD development. So do you also support carbon sequestration project? And do you think carbon sequestration project would be able to earn carbon credits?
Of course, we support all kinds of carbon projects, and as I said, sequestration is the key. It's the removals of projects of carbon. So if you're doing carbon sequestration projects, please get in touch, and that
It's a method of like your offer is very good to support in PIN and PD development because that is the difficult part.
Yeah.
So what is the procedure? How can we approach you?
Actually, we have to get approval from MOCC because MOCC is the focal point. But we can get your project details, help you make a PIN, and for the PDD development, MOCC will have to choose the project if they think that it will materialize and it will have actual reductions in emissions and if it aligns with our NDC. But we can still do partial capacity building for you, get a PIN and advise you on the project, how to take it forward. And if MOCC chooses your PIN, then we can invest in the PDD development or feasibility of those projects and things like that.
Okay, thank you. My second question with MOCC, anybody from MOCC who is from MOCC? MOCC direct till okay, then leave it. Thank you. Because if there is an MOCC involvement, then we consider it no. Because
We can guide you privately also.
yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Any other question? Yes. If someone can provide mic.
So this is Shoaib Khan serving as a senior technical specialist at Climate Resourcing and Coordination Center. I will pose my question through an example. If Essence can, respond to that. No doubt that that the private sector lies at the core of, the carbon markets. Let's assume there is a project proponent who's, who has registered a project, and there is an international client who is asking the VCM credits to authorize from the Ministry of Climate Change. But when it comes to the policy guidelines, there are some 4 steps of levies, which accounts to, like it was previously some 26% or 28%, which has been, reduced to 18% or 17%, I think. So in this scenario, how would you encourage the private sector for it, like keeping in view the other fee structures of verification and validation bodies, the registration fee with the carbon standards like Vera and Gold standard, and along with that, these authorization fee structures as well. So how would you, what do you think? How would we, encourage the private sector to jump into the VCM projects and which are seeking authorization under Article 6?
Bilkul ji, the projects that are seeking authorization under Article 6, if you have the project registered and the project has been registered for many years, then it might not get authorization anyways because it's bypass. Article 6 is for fairly new projects and projects which have just been registered. अभी इसके rules बन रहे हैं जिसमें कुछ time लगेगा 3 से 6 महीने में जिसके अंदर आप अपनी authorization के लिए apply कर सकते हैं अपने VCM projects के लिए. जहां तक fees की बात आ जाती है 5% तो है जी हमारी एनडीसी की फी. उसका ये मतलब है कि 95% क्रेडिट्स हम ऑथराइज कर देंगे आपके, 5% ऑथराइज नहीं होंगे मगर आप फिर भी बेच सकते हैं अपने क्रेडिट्स को वॉलंटरी मार्केट में. सेकेंडली जिधर 12% जो हमारी कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग एडजस्टमेंट फी है, मैं तो खैर चाहूंगा कि फी 0 है मगर मुल्क में कोई अपने एनडीसी प्रोजेक्ट्स भी करने हैं. बट द प्राइस यू विल गेट फॉर योर इटमो जब वो वीसीएस से इटमो बन जाएगा, माय प्रेडिक्शन इज कम से कम वो $15 से $20 आप प्राइस मिलेगी उस क्रेडिट की, कम से कम. ठीक है, जो हमने ट्रेंड देखा है $18-19 प्राइस चल रही है इस वक्त स्पेकुलेटिव. तो जब आप क्या कहते हैं $20 पे 12% फी देंगे तो आपकी बन जाएगी कोई $3-4 टाइप फी आपकी बन जाएगी, ठीक है। 20 से आप 4 निकालें फिर भी आपको $16 इशुएंस फी तो बहुत कम है, वो सेंट्स में होती है। वैलिडेशन वेरिफिकेशन आपने करा ली होगी, बट आई थिंक आपको नेट अगर $12-13 भी मिल जाए एक वीसीएस प्रोजेक्ट पे, जिधर आपको विदाउट ऑथराइजेशन $2 मिल रहा है, तो काफी फर्क है। तो आपका प्लस प्लस ही है, आपकी फी देने के बाद भी आपका काफी अच्छे प्राइस पे वो क्रेडिट बिक जाएगा। तो ये एक विन विन सिचुएशन है मिनिस्ट्री की और प्राइवेट सेक्टर की, जब आप ऑथराइजेशन लेते हैं इस पर।
I think Ramsha, you can.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rimsha and I'm working as a researcher at Pride, which is a think tank based in Islamabad. My question is that today we had a lot of discussion around the operationalization of the Article 6 and how it, but it seems for the journal audience, it's a very technical market. It's very new to Pakistan as well. So I wanted to ask if the ministry or Mr. Hassan, you can give examples of the projects that have gotten credit either from Pakistan or from Global South, because like you gave examples of the agroforestry or the land, those projects are done at a very large scale. So I'm asking in the context of, for example, projects which are being started or which are being done by the youth, how can those be included? Or if you can give some specific examples, like, for example, this was a project and this was approved and it's earning credit. So that would be more helpful for the journal public as well.
Gigi, there's a lot of sectors. Dekhe, the main concept of carbon credits is that there are 6 greenhouse gases. When you tackle those greenhouse gases, that's where you earn carbon credits. Now, carbon dioxide is the base gas. 1 ton of carbon dioxide reduced is 1 carbon credit. Methane is 21 times deadlier than carbon dioxide. 1 ton of methane reduced is 21 carbon credits. तो आप रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी के देख लें, स्मॉल हाइड्रोज, आप ये कम्युनिटी, अगर आप कम्युनिटी की बात करते हैं, आप स्मॉल हाइड्रोज देख लें। अगेन ये बायोचार जो मैं कह रहा हूँ, ये प्रोलिसिस की मशीन तो महंगी होती है, मगर फार्मर्स ये छोटे स्केल पे भी बड़ा सस्ता कर सकते हैं। वेस्ट वाटर के प्रोजेक्ट जिसमें मीथेन निकलती है, क्लीन ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, जिधर आप बॉइलिंग करते हैं पानी की, मगर अगर आप फिल्टर्स लगा दें, जैसे आबे पार्क ने पंजाब में किया है, उस तरह के कम्युनिटी प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं। क्लीन कुकिंग के प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, जो अभी क्लीन कुक स्टोव्स देते हैं, जिधर आपकी कम होती है। फिर लैंडफिल के वो बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, लैंडफिल गैस एक्सट्रैक्शन प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं, जिसमें आप मीथेन कोई आप इंटीग्रेटेड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट कर लें। तो प्रोजेक्ट साइज यूथ के लिए तो थोड़ा मुश्किल होगा एक स्केलेबल प्रोजेक्ट करना, मगर यूथ को हमेशा हम ये कहते हैं कि आप पायलट करें, आप एक छोटा पायलट करें ऑन ग्राउंड, उसकी कोई आप दिखाएं कि उसकी क्या कहते हैं, कोई एक्चुअल उसकी है वैल्यू उस प्रोजेक्ट की, एंड देयर आर लॉट ऑफ देम इन्वेस्टर्स हु कैन हेल्प यू स्केल दैट प्रोजेक्ट। तो यूथ का यही है कि यूथ को कहें जी छोटा सा पायलट करें, और पायलट अगर सक्सेसफुल होता है, यू टेक इट टू मार्केट लाइक एनी अदर बिजनेस, एंड इट शुड बी हेल्पफुल।
I would like to say something.
इसमें मैं एक चीज और ऐड कर दूं कि एक ऑलरेडी जो ऑन ग्राउंड प्रोजेक्ट है ना, वो है इंडस डेल्टा ब्लू का, मैंग्रोव फॉरेस्ट रेस्टोरेशन का, विच इज अ काइंड ऑफ $40 million सिंध में जो है, ये एक ऑलरेडी ऑन गोइंग प्रोजेक्ट है, और ये ऑलरेडी क्रेडिट से अर्निंग भी आ रही है। So that also आप लोग उसको देख सकते हैं, स्टडी कर सकते हैं अगर और डिटेल चाहिए।
I would just like to add, I was at the COP29 and I went to the German pavilion, और उधर ये इनका भी pavilion था साथ, जो आप बता रहे हैं GIZ के साथ IKEA initiative का भी, and I went there and I asked them about this, but they said that we have a separate sort of administrative requirement that your business has to be registered within Pakistan, that you have to go through the SECP के साथ proper होगा, उसके बाद you can apply for the process that you were also telling about. तो वो एक जो एक रेटिपिज्म का concept है ना पाकिस्तान में, that makes it difficult to, जब आपने project अभी start नहीं किया, when you have to apply for a grant or a fund, then it gets difficult to
देखिए, कल को आप उसको स्केल करना है, कोई इन्वेस्टर आएगा,
Mic use करो प्लीज।
कल को आप उसको स्केल करना है, कोई इन्वेस्टर आएगा, तो आपके बैंकिंग डॉक्यूमेंट्स होने चाहिए, आपकी एसईसीबी रजिस्ट्रेशन होनी चाहिए, पैसे किस चीज में डालेगा। तो जहां तक आप बात कर रही हैं पायलट्स की, आप एज सोल प्रोप्राइटर करें, आप उसको रजिस्टर बेशक ना करें, बट व्हेन यू गो टुवर्ड्स इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स, कोई ना कोई एविडेंस, कोई ना कोई पेपर वर्क होता है, बट दैट्स ऑल डन व्हेन यू स्केल। सो आप एक पायलट करें, उसको एक मॉडल बनाएं, व्हेन यू स्केल इट, तो फिर ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स हैपन वेरी इजीली।
Thank you so much. I think we have a representation from Balochistan as well, Mr. Nadeem Rahman, Secretary Climate and Environment. Sir, if you wanted to highlight some of the interventions from your side, from the Balochistan or provincial perspective on the operationalization of Article 6. Yes, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself. Nadeem Rahman, sir.
Let me say something till he unmutes.
I think if Arif Saab would like to highlight on the NDC's perspective related to Article 6, it's alignment with that. So, what do you?
देखिए मैंने इससे पहले भी जब बात की तो उस पर बताया कि जब हमने 35% कंडीशनल कमिटमेंट की बात की तो उस वक्त भी फाइनेंशियल गैप जो है वो फुलफिल नहीं हो सका व्हेन वी आर टेकिंग द स्टॉक ऑफ द NDC2. सो आर्टिकल 6 प्रोवाइड यू एन अपॉर्चुनिटी. अब एक पूरा इकोसिस्टम जो है वो गवर्नमेंट ने बना लिया है, वेयर नेशनल फाइनेंस स्ट्रेटजी इज देयर, वेयर आर्टिकल 6 इज देयर, where the carbon market policy guidelines are there, rules and regulations soon will be finalized, and we are hoping that within a month or two the carbon registry will be intact. When all this ecosystem will be there, so there is a lot of opportunity with the perspective of NDCs कि जो भी आपकी फाइनेंशियल कमिटमेंट्स आप करने जा रहे हैं उसके अंदर कि हमारा बिजनेस केस ये होगा इन ट्रांजिशन का, डीकार्बोनाइजेशन का, क्लाइमेट स्मार्ट एग्रीकल्चर का, वेस्ट टू एनर्जी का, जो भी आपके की सेक्टर्स हैं उसके ऊपर अगर आप देखते हैं कि देयर आर नंबर ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स एंड नंबर ऑफ फाइनेंशियल नीड्स आर देयर, सो यू कैन बिल्ड अराउंड आर्टिकल 6. प्राइवेट सेक्टर का जो रोल है वो तो आपकी कॉप ने भी उसको मुसल्लम कर दिया है. And there is a growing recognition. Not only that, within the NAP document of Pakistan, हमने उसके अंदर भी adaptation और resilience के perspective से जो perspective है private sector का उसको on board किया हुआ है. तो once the whole mechanism is there, I see कि market keeps flourishing. बहुत सारा काम हुआ भी है और कुछ करना बाकी भी है, स्पेशली इन टर्म्स ऑफ कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग, जैसे कि मैम फ्रॉम पाइट सेड दैट कि जी कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग की नीड्स हैं और टेक्निकल चीज़ों को समझने के लिए. तो ये चीज़ें हैं जो अभी मिनिस्ट्री को करनी है, प्रोविंसेस को करनी है, मिलके टारगेट ऑडियंसेस को अट्रैक्ट करना है, उनको कैपेसिटेट करना है कि वो प्रोजेक्ट्स अपने लाएं. उसमें एनडीसी की कमिटमेंट्स भी फुलफिल होती हुई नजर आएंगी और सिर्फ आर्टिकल 6 को आप एनडीसी के पर्सपेक्टिव से एक मिटिगेशन और एमिशन रिडक्शन सिनेरियो के तौर पर ना रहें, ये एक आपका रेजिलियंस बिल्डिंग का भी एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है. सो दिस इज व्हाट आई वांट टू से. थैंक यू.
Yes, thank you so much. I think Nadeem Rahman sir has unmuted his mic. Sir, please, we need your interventions on the Balochistan perspective on the operationalization of Article 6 and the carbon markets.
Thank you very much. I think this is a great opportunity of coming together to discuss one of the most important topics today. And I would say that first of all, congratulations to the ministry for, like, as far as the Article 6 is concerned, the carbon trading rules are in place, approved, and being operationalized. The registry is also being set up or already has been set up. And I mean, the scene is set for operation. Now, the other side of the story, the opportunities, they are there at the subnational level because the land mass and the resources, the natural resources, water, or the scarcity of water, whatever are the issues, they are there at the subnational level, be it Balochistan, be it Punjab, Sindh, or KP. If I talk about Balochistan, I have already mentioned that, like, there are huge tracts of mass available, of land mass available there for utilization with, very small intervention, we can utilize that. Now, the important question is how can we connect this bigger picture with the Article 6, the Paris Agreement, the COP29, the carbon registry, and, like the intervention at the, in Islamabad ministry, and the opportunities at the grassroots level, because all of these policies will end up at the grassroots level on ground in the provinces. So I think this connection, and for that purpose, the building the capacity of the provinces is very important. we do know that we have huge potential to, get carbon credits. I already mentioned that this is a God-given opportunity for countries like Pakistan and third world countries because they are rich in natural endowments and primary products. But how to translate that into actual dollars coming to the country and to the provinces? This is a big question mark, and I think the outcome should be like a tangible sort of plan, how we can move from here to position where we can realize that outcome. And otherwise, I think be it forest, be it you can say transport, energy, there is a huge potential available in the country. So my appreciation for the SDPI also, for such a rich galaxy of people to be together for this important topic, and a really good discussion, very enriching and encouraging discussion to move forward. And I think we should, this is the right time for us to formulate and connect the dots and, get the best out of it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Nadeem and Rahman sir, for highlighting the Balochistan perspective on that. And I think we're just taking one last question and then we will move towards the conclusion. Yes.
Thank you. You mentioned that methane is 21 times more potent than carbon dioxide. It is actually 90 times more damaging to the environment. We were also told when we were doing our master's and PhD abroad that it's 21 times more damaging, but latest research says it is 90 times more. So when you go to any government function, there they say that our contribution towards greenhouse gases is less than 1%. It is not true. Pakistan is the 7th, and some say it is 5th largest emitter of methane from waste, municipal solid waste. It is openly dumped. It decomposes and releases methane. From wastewater, it is not treated. From Islamabad, 70 million gallons per day is daily discharged without any treatment. Although there are 3 treatment plants in Islamabad, but they're not working. And most of it is directly discharged into the water streams, the nalas. In Karachi, 550 million gallons per day of wastewater is discharged into the sea without treatment. Okay. My suggestion is a suggestion, not a question, that there are other financing mechanisms available as well. How 5% you can claim from the carbon market, but rest of the 95% we can guide you if you come to us. And how for the projects, whether it is for the youth or for countries, how you can get projects on BOT basis, how you can get financing, and there are many other financing mechanisms.
So, you have one more question, then we'll go. Yes, please. So please quickly ask the question, then we are coming towards the conclusion.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm a Canadian. I'm representing Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan here. Sir, Ministry से मेरा थोड़ा सा ये question होगा. So I have heard that rules are being drafted for establishing carbon markets and regulating carbon credit markets. उसमें हमारा viewpoint ये है कि for efficient trading, it is important कि इसकी secondary market में trading के लिए exchange के ऊपर भी trade होनी चाहिए. जैसे बहुत सारी jurisdictions हैं, जापान है, मलेशिया है, even यूएई में जो loans हैं, उनमें भी financial sector ऐसी sector जो formulate regulations for the trading on exchange. तो मेरा ये suggestion होगा कि kindly आप ये consider करें, और अगर possible है तो हमारे साथ rules का draft officially भी share कर दिया जाए, हम उस पर officially भी आपको अपना थोड़ा सा viewpoint दे देंगे.
Ji, thank you very much. So basically, we are at the learning curve now. A lot of things they are coming to our table are new, and as they come, we just see the international best practices, and after that, we definitely adopt whatever is the best for Pakistan in international scenario. Akif Saeed Saab, the chairman SCCP, we are in talks with them. Akif Saab के साथ मेरी अपनी भी वो है. सो डेफिनेटली हम आपसे कंसल्ट करेंगे और इसकी सेकेंडरी मार्केट्स की जो जब स्टैब्लिशिंग या उसको प्रमोशन की बात आएगी तो वी विल डेफिनेटली कंसल्ट एंड आपकी अगर कोई प्रपोजल है तो आप बेशक हमें डायरेक्टली भी भेज सकते हैं ताकि हम अभी चूंकि एट द मोमेंट हमने ब्रॉड पैरामीटर्स फॉर वीसीएम एंड कंप्लायंस तो फाइनल कर लिए हैं बट फर्दर डिटेल जिस तरह अब हमारा जो कार्बन डेल्टा ब्लू है इंडस डेल्टा ब्लू वो डिफरेंट एक्सचेंज में ट्रेड हो रहा है अभी बट दैट इज अंडर वीसीएम जो है ना वॉलंटरी कार्बन मार्केट का है सो आपकी भी जो सजेशन है आप जरूर दें हम डेफिनेटली मिनिस्ट्री वुड मेक दैट के ये हम अगर पाकिस्तान के फायदे में है पाकिस्तान बेनिफिट कर सकता है तो वी वुड डेफिनेटली अडॉप्ट दैट थैंक यू
Yes, thank you so much. I think rest of the questions will be addressed during the lunch break. And I think, sir, Zulfikar Yousaf, if you wanted to conclude the whole session, your perspective on that, if you wanted to join us on the podium, yeah, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Thank you very much for inviting me to conclude this very important and good brainstorming session on carbon markets. From our point of view, we have three important aspects because we can rush immediately to open up our carbon markets, but we are taking a slightly, measured stance to go into the carbon markets. And there are three important aspects that we are now considering. One is the transparency. Arun Gohir Saab, our executive director, GCISC, has also mentioned that transparency is the key to our whole paradigm of carbon markets where we are going. And what somebody from here said that, red tape and slow processing. So we have developed a registry from a US-based carbon market IT company, which has also other international carbon experts who has helped us to develop this registry. And this is an online portal. So you don't need to come to Ministry of Climate Change to file an application, but it will be directly available through the website. Like customs, they have a web-based one custom system where the importer don't have to come to the custom house, but they can file their documents online through their own user ID and password. So similar would be the structure of the registry that we are proposing now. And the second important thing that we are considering is the integrity of our credit, because what we have seen and during our numerous discussions with international investors and key players of the carbon market, it has been underlined to us time and again that the integrity is very important of our credits. So we are very mindful of us, making sure that all those, auditing firms who are going to help us verify the integrity of the credit, and subsequently also, some of you might have also experienced that some of the credits in one of few countries, I don't need to name the country, but there was this cook stove, project, and there was the integrity of the credits were highly questionable, and then that all spat came to that country. So we have to be very careful about the integrity of our credits. So we are also with the experts, with the climate experts, with all other relevant stakeholders, we are trying to devise a mechanism whereby we don't have a red tapeism, but at the same time we also have a adequately stable system of verifying the integrity of the credit. And third and very important is that the benefit of the credit should go to the community where the credit belongs. So as they say that now, we're talking with Ministry of Industries, they are coming up with EV policy and they have requested Ministry of Climate Change to help them. Also, how they can, there are around 12 million credits that will be offset once the electric vehicles the policy is fully operational and all the electric vehicles are there. So we told them that, it's ultimately going to be the credit will belong to the person who holds the electric vehicle. So, and similarly, in case of forestry is the person who holds the forest will be benefiting from. So that is our another endeavor, that we should make sure that the benefit of the credits generated in Pakistan goes to actually those communities who are helping to, because the restoration of the forest, the renewable energy stress, whoever is involved, once he get a share, he will be more interested to preserve that credit, to make sure that the integrity of that credit is not questioned. So these are three important things, pillars, that we are focusing and keeping our whole paradigm of carbon markets on these three parameters. And all of you, I have been part of some discussion today, and I saw very it was quite an interesting discussion. It showed that all of you has quite a good knowledge and are keen. So I think all of you could become our partners and our supporters to make sure that Pakistan's carbon market not only earns credit for Pakistan, but also earns a good name for Pakistan in the global community, because it's ultimately the credibility, because it's a market, so buyer and seller. So whoever seller has a good credibility will earn better prices. But Hassan was just mentioning that there are credits which are sold at $4, and then there are credits which are sold at $44. So there are these 3-4 items, and also the co-benefit. So we are also concentrating on and educating our stakeholders to basically emphasize on the core benefits of the credit, because those aspects all determine the quality and the price that the credit will fetch. Rather, the other day somebody forwarded me a very good course in Singapore. So they are just discussing how the quality of a credit could be enhanced. And those are very simple measures, not very rocket science. So we are also sending our officers to attend that course. And also I would encourage all of you from here to look for such courses and then come up with a new idea, because as I just mentioned, that this is a learning curve. We are all learning. You are also learning. We are also learning. And together that we can have a collective wisdom to make our system the most formidable and the most comprehensive for the global community. So with these words, I thank all of you for being here. I thank Danish Embassy, SDPI for inviting us, and also for organizing this on our behalf. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir, thank you so much. And we truly acknowledge the efforts of the Ministry of Climate Change on making the policy guidelines for the carbon markets. And finally, just between you and us is a lunch break. So vote of thanks from the Deputy Executive Director, Dr. Shafqat Munir. So over to you.
Thank you very much. You already said that there is a lunch served, so very minimal. I would like to thank all the participants, especially Hassan Saab's key presentation, from Minister Zulfikar Saab, Arif Gori Saab, and those who have contributed in terms of questions and intervention. I just want to say a couple of things here, not the presentation shot, but just the warning shot. You see, we have seen, Sohail Saab also mentioned, CDM. Then we had Red Plus. So they were also similar kind of mechanism, but where they have gone. Now we have another thing. We have to be cautious. While we are ready for benefiting from Article 6 and its other market, carbon markets, we should not forget about overall climate finance, which should be our prime objective of pushing to the global players who are responsible for it. With this cautious approach, I will again thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Please join us for the lunch.